네, 내외 기빈 여러분 안녕하십니까? 먼저 바쁘신 일정에도 불구하고 2019 드림 투게더 서울 포럼에 참석해 주신 모든 분들께 진심으로 환영과 감사의 말씀 드립니다. 저는 이번 포럼의 사회를 맡은 김혜미 국제회의 통역사입니다. 오늘 이렇게 만나 뵙게 되어서 정말 기쁘고 또 영광입니다. 반갑습니다. Well, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Hemi Kim, and I am a conference interpreter. And today I'm going to be your master of ceremony for the Dream Together Seoul Forum 2019. Well, it's indeed my great honor and pleasure to be part of such a significant forum. And on behalf of our host, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation and welcome to all of you for gracing the occasion with your presence today. So thank you so much for coming and welcome to Korea. Oh, thank you so much. We have a generous audience today. Thank you for the round of applause. 네, 2019 드림 투게더 서울 포럼은 개발도상국 차세대 스포츠 행정가를 양성하는 교육과정인 드림 투게더 마스터 프로그램의 일환으로 특히 올해 포럼은 현재 진행 중인 2019 한 아세안 정상회담 30주년 특별정상회의와 또 내일 열릴 예정인 그 제1차 한 메콩 정상회의를 기념하여 열리게 되어서 더욱더 뜻깊은 행사인 것 같습니다. Well, the Dream Together Seoul Forum 2019 is being held as part of the Dream Together Master Program, which aims to nurture next generation sports experts. And this year's forum is even more meaningful since it is taking place in celebration of the 2019 ASEAN Republic of Korea Commemorative Summit, which is designed to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the dialogue partnership among the ASEAN member countries and the Republic of Korea, as well as the first Mekong Republic of Korea Summit, which is scheduled to be held tomorrow. 금년 포럼은 저희가 스포츠 가치와 확산이라는 주제로 스포츠 활동을 통한 사회적 관심 제고 및 또 국가별 사회 문제 해결 사례를 공유하고 지구촌 모든 나라가 한국 정부와 스포츠를 통해 상호 협력할 수 있는 방향을 제시하는 논의의 장을 제공하고자 합니다. 오늘 개최되는 포럼은 문화체육관광부가 주최하고 국민체육진흥공단이 주관하며 또 각 분야에서 매우 저명하신 6분의 연사님들께서 스포츠 가치의 중요성과 확산에 대한 심도 있는 내용의 발표를 진행해 주실 예정입니다. 많은 분들께서 관심을 가져주신 만큼 정말 뜻깊은 자리가 될 것 같습니다. 또한 금번 포럼은 국민체육진흥공단 페이스북 및 유튜브 채널을 통해서 라이브로 생중계되고 있습니다. Well, as you all know, the Dream Together Seoul Forum 2019 is being held under the theme of Sport Value and Diffusion, which is hosted by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism of the Republic of Korea and organized by the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation. And at this forum, 6 globally renowned experts in each field will deliver in-depth presentations covering various topics, including how to raise social awareness through sport and how to strengthen mutual cooperation among the Korean government and diverse countries around the world via sport. And we are positive that it is going to be a very fruitful forum thanks to your active participation and a great deal of attention. And finally, for your information, today's forum is broadcast live at the moment via Facebook and YouTube channels of the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation. So please keep that in mind. 네, 그럼 먼저 본 행사를 빛내주시기 위해 오늘 귀한 걸음 해주신 내빈 분들 소개가 있겠습니다. 호명되신 내빈 분들께서는 잠시 자리에서 일어나셔서 가볍게 인사해 주시면 감사하겠습니다. So first of all, let me introduce some of our distinguished guests who have come a long way to grace the occasion with their presence today. So when I call your name, please rise and greet the audience briefly. 네, 먼저 오늘 컨퍼런스를 마련해 주신 국민체육진흥공단 조재기 이사장님 함께 하고 계십니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. We are joined by the Honorable Mr. Jae-gi Cho, Chairman of the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation, who is hosting this forum. Thank you. 또 국제스포츠행정가양성사업단 강준호 단장님도 자리해 주셨습니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. We also have the Honorable Mr. Junho Kang, Director of the Dream Together Master Program. 또 영국 러프버러 대학교 이안 폴 헨리 명예 교수님도 참석해 주셨습니다. We are also joined by the Honorable Professor Ian Paul Henry, Emeritus Professor of Leisure Policy and Management from the School of Sport, Health and Exercise Sciences at Loughborough University in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for coming. 또 외교부 공공외교총괄과 표정화 과장님 자리해 주셨습니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. We are also joined by the Honorable Madame 정화 표, Director of Public Diplomacy Division at the Foreign Ministry of Korea's Foreign Ministry. So thank you so much for coming, Director. 네, 또 숙명여자대학교 글로벌 서비스 학부 최동주 교수님 함께하고 계십니다. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. And the Honorable Professor 동주 Choi, Professor of School of Global Service at 숙명 Women's University. 또 영국 켄트 대학교 스포츠 매니지먼트 프로그램 니키 코트로 디렉터님도 참석해 주셨습니다. We are also joined by the Honorable Professor Nikki Kotro, Assistant Professor and Program Director of Sport Management at the University of Kent in the United Kingdom. 또 2018 평창 기념재단 김정남 총괄 운영부장님도 함께하고 계십니다. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. And the Honorable Mr. 정남 Kim, Director of the Pyeongchang 2018 Legacy Foundation. And last but not least, we are also joined by the Honorable Thet Khaing Win, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Sports of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. The 미얀마 보건스포츠부 Thet Khaing Win 차관님도 함께해 주셨습니다. 감사합니다. 네, 여러분 지금 보시다시피 방금 소개해드린 분들 외에도 정말 많은 내외 귀빈 여러분들께서 오늘 자리를 빛내주고 계십니다. 저희가 시간 관계상 일일이 다 소개해드리지는 못하지만 다시 한번 참석해주신 모든 분들께 진심으로 감사의 말씀 드립니다. Well, as you can see, we are joined by many other distinguished guests, but due to time constraints, we cannot introduce every single one of you individually, so please be understanding and thank you so much for joining us today. 네, 그럼 다음 순서로 넘어가겠습니다. 먼저 오늘 이 자리를 마련해 주신 국민체육진흥공단 조재기 이사장님의 환영사가 있겠습니다. 네, 무대 위로 모시겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. First of all, the Honorable Mr. 재기 조, Chairman of the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation, will deliver his welcoming remarks. So, ladies and gentlemen, could you please welcome him once again with a big round of applause? 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
존경하는 내외 귀빈 여러분 반갑습니다. 특히 오늘 이 행사를 이끌어 주시는 우리 서울대학교 강준호 단장님, 또 멀리 영국에서 오신 이안 헨리 교수님, 그 다음에 외교부의 우리 표정화 과장님, 또 최동주 교수님, 니키 코츠로 또 교수님, 김정남 부장님, 티인트 루인 우리 교수님 등 참석하신 모든 분들에게 다시 한번 한국에 오시고 이 행사를 주관해 주시게 돼서 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 드림 투게더 서울 포럼에 오신 여러분을 진심으로 환영합니다. 서울올림픽 기념 국민체육진흥공단 이사장 조재기라고 합니다. 올해에도 뜻깊은 행사로 만나 뵙게 되어 참으로 기쁩니다. 연설과 발표를 맡아주신 국내의 전문가분들께도 깊이 감사를 드립니다. 특히 드림 투게더 마스터 프로그램을 통해 누구보다도 왕성한 호기심과 도전 정신, 꿈과 열정으로 가득 찬 차세대 스포츠 행정가 여러분들을 진심으로 환영합니다. 우리 공단이 문화체육관광부 서울대와 함께 추진하는 드림 투게더 마스터 프로그램이 올해로 7년째를 맞이했습니다. 그동안 48개국 111명의 스포츠 행정가를 양성하는 성과를 올리며 스포츠 교육을 통한 한국의 위상을 높이는 데 기여하고 있습니다. 드림투게더라는 이름에는 그동안 한국 스포츠가 쌓아온 역량, 스포츠를 통한 사회개발 경험을 함께 공유하고 세계인과 친밀한 네트워크를 구축해 나가겠다는 뜻이 담겨 있습니다. 또한 국제 스포츠 발전에 한국 스포츠가 동참할 수 있는 계기로 삼아 단순히 성적만 우수한 스포츠 강국이 아니라 국제 스포츠계와 함께 발전을 추구하는 스포츠 선진국이 되고자 하는 의지가 담겨 있기도 합니다. 스포츠의 가치는 우리가 생각하는 것 이상으로 무궁무진합니다. 스포츠에는 이념과 체제의 차이도 장애물이 될 수 없습니다. 종교와 문화의 벽을 뛰어넘는 힘도 있습니다. 스포츠 교류의 효과는 훨씬 대단합니다. 우리의 경우도 남북이 막혔던 대화를 재개할 때면 스포츠가 그 물꼬를 트는 역할을 담당했습니다. 미국과 중국의 수교도 두 나라 사이의 핑퐁 외교가 계기가 되었고, 서독과 동독의 올림픽 등에서 단일팀을 구성하는 일로부터 교류가 시작되었습니다. 그런 점에서 오늘 스포츠의 가치 확산이라는 주제로 열리는 이번 행사는 스포츠의 가치를 다시 한번 확인하는 계기가 될 것입니다. 더불어 스포츠의 가치가 대한민국을 넘어 전 세계로 퍼져나갈 수 있도록 지혜를 모아 주셨으면 합니다. 이번 드림투게더 서울 포럼 2019년 한 아세안 정상회담 30주년 특별정상회의와 제1차 한 메콩 정상회의를 기념하는 의미도 지니고 있습니다. 다소 추운 날씨지만 한국의 초겨울의 정치를 마음껏 즐기시고 부산에서 펼쳐지는 국제 행사에도 많은 관심을 가지시기 바랍니다. 참가하신 모든 분들의 건강과 행복을 기원합니다. 감사합니다. 고맙습니다.
네, 국민체육진흥공단 조재기 이사장님의 아주 감명 깊은 환영사 잘 들어봤습니다. 감사합니다, 이사장님. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Thank you so much. That was the Honorable Mr. Jae Gi-cho, Chairman of the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation. Thank you so much for your wonderful speech. 네, 이번에는요, 국제스포츠행정가양성사업단 강준호 단장님의 환영사가 있겠습니다. 네, 단장님 앞으로 모시겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. This time, the Honorable Mr. Junho Kang, Director of the Dream Together Master Program, will deliver his welcoming remarks.
Jo Jae-gi, Chairman of Korea Sports Promotion Foundation, and distinguished speakers, Dream Together Master alumni and students, and ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome all of you to the 7th Dream Together Master Seoul Forum. We have hosted an annual forum with the selected topics from 2013 to 2018, with the topics of sport for change, sport for global development, future management strategy of sport organizations, ethics in sport management, Olympic legacy and sustainability, and sport for peace. This year, 2019's forum's topic is sport value and diffusion. The value of sport has been misunderstood, underevaluated, or even distorted. Dream Together Seoul Forum 2019 aims to explore the new direction of the value of sport. This year's forum will focus on the educational, social, and cultural and diplomatic value of sport. today's forum is also to celebrate the 7th anniversary of the Dream Together Master Program, so-called DTM. DTM is a global project initiated by Korea, the only country that turned from aid recipient country to the aid donor country, in order to fulfill this commitment to human prosperity. With much gratitude and appreciation, DTM has launched it in 2013 to promote the global sport development. As Korea's representative sports official development assistance, DTM is a global initiative with the support of the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism and the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation. We provide an in-depth insight into the area of sport for the students in the Global Sport Graduate Program at Seoul National University. DTM identifies, educates, and networks future leaders in sports. A world-class faculty from Korea, Europe, North America, and Australia participate in Dream Together Master. Today's keynote speaker, Dr. Ian Henry, Professor Emeritus from Loughborough University, also had taught the DTM students a few years ago. Seoul National University has established solid relationship with IOC, ANOC, FISU, and the UN to form not only a world-class human network, but also an interagency cooperation to help and make sports talents from developing countries a great leader with global competence. To date, 111 next-generation sport administrators from 48 countries in Asia, Africa, Europe, Oceania, and Latin America have earned Master of Sport Management from Seoul National University and are actively working throughout the world. DTM is a successful example of today's theme of sport value and diffusion, as well as its influence. Through DTM's core value of sharing and excellence, graduates are sharing their experiences and contributing to sport development in their home countries, taking the world as their stage by participating in various activities. Of those graduates, 9 alumni were selected and came to their intellectual hometown, Korea, and Seoul National University. They are Umer from Pakistan, Tara from Indonesia, Tidius from Zimbabwe, Iksan from Palestine, KK from Botswana, Juan Pablo from Guatemala, and Zaya from Mongolia, and Mauricio from Colombia, and Sibu from Lesotho. They are the evidence of DTM's achievements and excellent cases of this forum theme of sport value and diffusion. I wish that today's forum will be a meaningful time for us to appreciate, confirm the value of sports. I'd like to once again welcome and thank all of you. Thank you very much.
Well, the Honorable Mr. Chun-Ho Kang, Director of the Dream Together Master Program, has just delivered a very impressive speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, could you please give him another round of big applause? 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Thank you so much. 네, 저희가 강연을 시작하기에 앞서 성과 공모전 시상식이 거행되겠습니다. 시상은 성과 소개서 시상 부분부터 진행하겠습니다. 또 본 시상에는 국민체육진흥공단 조재기 이사장님께서 수고해 주시겠습니다. 네, 이사장님 앞으로 모시겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수로 환영해 주십시오. So now we're going to conduct this ceremony of the competition. So Mr. Taegi Cho from the Korea Sports Promotion Foundation will be presenting the awards. So could you please welcome him with a big hand? 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드리고요. And I'm going to call our lucky winners. So before we jump to the keynote speech, we're going to conduct the Dream Together Master Program 2019 Contest Award Ceremony. And the first category is Best Practice Essay, and 6 winners will be announced. So please come forward when we call your name. And the awards will be presented by Mr. Joe, as I mentioned before. So now let me announce our lucky winners. The first place is taken by Umar Asif, so could you please come forward? And the second place is taken by Sebusiso Kekesi. Sebusiso Kekesi, please come forward. And also Kialaboga Keseng, he took the third place. And Tedious Tandorai Rudviso, and Zaya Yadam Dorj, and Juan Pablo Alvarado. So we have 6 winners in total. So could you please come forward? So we're going to present the awards starting with the first place winner. So Umar Asif, could you please come forward? 네, 1등 우마르 아시프님께 저희가 1등 먼저 시상 진행하겠습니다. 네, 앞에 나오셨는데요. 저희 이사장님께서 이제 상장을 전달해 주시면 됩니다. 1등이고요. 우마르 아시프님께서 네, 1등 하셨습니다. 여러분 축하의 박수 부탁드립니다. Please give them a big hand. That's first place, Umar Asif. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Wonderful. 네, 여러분 큰 박수 계속해서 보내주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 아주 저희가 많은 지금 상품과 상장과 시상과 다양한 지금 상장, 상패, 시상금이 다 전달이 되고 있습니다. 네, 아주 기분 좋으시겠어요. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Congratulations once again. You took the first place. 이번엔 2등 시상입니다. Sebusiso Kekesi. Second place is taken by Sebusiso Kekesi. Congratulations. 저희가 마찬가지로 상장, 상패, 시상금 보드 전달을 했고요. 다시 한번 축하드립니다. Congratulations. 여러분 계속해서 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Second place is taken by Sebusiso Kekesi. Congratulations. 네, 3등은 두 분이 계신데요. 먼저 첫 번째 3등은 키알레보가 케생. 키알레보가 케생, could you please come forward? 공동 3등 중에 첫 번째 3등을 차지하신 분이십니다. 키알레보가 케이생님께서 3등 하셨습니다. 이번에도 상장, 상패, 시상금 보드 전달 드립니다. 축하드립니다. 여러분 계속해서 큰 박수 보내주십시오. Congratulations. So ladies and gentlemen, please give them abundant round of applause. Thank you. 네, 공동 3등 다음입니다. Next is Tedious Tandorai Rudviso. He also took third place, and we are going to hand over the prize and the plaque, and of course our cash prizes as well. So please give him a big hand. Congratulations. 축하드립니다. 공동 3등이었고 이제 공동 4등 넘어가겠습니다. 자야 야만 야담 도르. 자야 야담 도르 공동 4등 하셨고요. She took the 4th place. Miss Zaya Yadam Dorj. Congratulations. So once again we are giving her the plaque and the prize and everything. Congratulations. Well done. Last but not least, Juan Pablo Alvarado. He also took 4th place. 공동 4등 하신 분이시고요. 후안 파블로 알바라도 님이십니다. 상장과 상패, 시상금 보드 다 전달해 드립니다. 감사합니다. 축하드립니다. 여러분 박수 많이 치시면 건강에 좋다고 하죠. 네, 지금 오후라 졸릴 시간이기 때문에 박수 많이 쳐주시면 더욱더 좋을 것 같습니다. Thank you so much. 네, 수상하신 6분과 저희 국민체육진흥공단 조재기 이사장님께서는 저희가 잠시 후에 기념사진 촬영을 할 것이기 때문에요. 저희 무대 위에서 잠시 대기해 주시면 감사하겠고요. 먼저 한번 1차로 저희가 기념사진 촬영을 우선은 잠시 대기해 주십시오. So we are going to take a group photo with 3. 저희가 3명이 아직 더 나올 것에서 무대에서 잠깐 기다려 주세요. 네네. 네, 그러면 저희가 다음 3명이 더 계세요. 이번에는요 사업 제안서 부문입니다. 잠시 무대에서 대기해 주시고요. 시상에는 국제스포츠행정가양성사업단 강준호 단장님께서 시상해 주시겠습니다. 앞으로 모시겠습니다. 여러분 저희 강준호 단장님 큰 박수로 환영해 주십시오. So please welcome Mr. Junho Kang. He's going to present the awards. 네, now let me announce our 3 lucky winners. Isan Abdallah, please come forward, and also Mauricio Hernandez, please come forward, and Tara Talitha, please come forward. So we have 3 lucky winners in the category of project proposal concept paper. So our director Junho Kang will be presenting the award, starting with Isan Abdullah. Miss Isan Abdullah, could you please come forward? 네, 1등 하신 이산 압둘라님께 저희가 먼저 시상하겠습니다. 저희가 상장과 상패 또 전달해 드릴 건데요. 1등 하셨습니다. 이산 압달라님이시고요. 정말 저희가 다시 한번 축하드립니다. 내용을 그냥 주시면 되겠습니다. 감사합니다. Congratulations. Please give them a big hand. First place was taken by Isan Abdallah. Congratulations. Wow, she took the first place award. What an honor. Congratulations. First place. She got 1 million Korean won as cash prize. 100만 원 상금도 받았습니다. 축하드립니다. 2등 넘어갈게요. Mauricio Hernandez, could you please come forward? He took the second place, and we're going to hand over the second place award and the plaque, and of course the cash prize as well. 2등은 Mauricio Hernandez님께서 해주셨고요. 여러분 축하의 박수 아낌없이 보내주시기 바랍니다. Please give him a big round of applause. He took the second place award. Congratulations. And last but not least, Tara Talitha, could you please come forward? She took the third place. So the third place award will be presented to Miss Tara Talitha. 3등은 타라 탈리사님께서 해주셨고요. 마찬가지로 상품과 상장 저희가 모두 수여해드리겠습니다. 축하드립니다. 여러분 박수 많이 쳐주십시오. 지금 다 시상이 끝났고요. 다시 한번 수고하신 모든 분들께 축하의 박수 전달해드립니다. 네, 감사합니다. 그럼 저희가 이제 모든 분들과 함께 단체로 기념사진 촬영을 하겠습니다. So we're going to take a group photo with all of our winners and presenters. So could you please come forward and line up? 네, 저희가 기념 촬영을 위해서 대열을 좀 잘 서주셔야 될 것 같은데요. 얼굴 잘 보이게 잘 서주시기 바랍니다. So this photo is going to last forever. So please make sure you are included in the frame. Okay, I think we have to squeeze in a little bit. Okay, 2 of you, could you please move to the other end? 어떻게? We need 2 persons on the other end. Thank you. Yeah. 네, 지금 수상하신 모든 분들과 또 시상해주신 분들과 함께 저희가 기념사진 촬영할 거고요. 여러분들께서 큰 박수를 보내주시면 아마 더 밝은 미소가 나올 것 같습니다. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Say cheese or kimchi. Oh. Okay. Congratulations once again. 네, okay, that wraps our follow-up. 네, 나머지 수상하신 분들은 내려가셔도 됩니다. The winners may go back. 네, 저희 이사장님과 단장님은 무대 위에 남아주셔야 됩니다. 저희가 한 번 더 사진 찍을 겁니다. The winners may go back to your seats. Thank you so much. Now you may go back to seats, but we are going to take another photo with our presenters. So if you're one of the presenters of this forum, could you please come forward and join us on stage for our follow-up. 이번에는 연사님들 모시고 저희가 기념사진 촬영하겠습니다. The presenters and our honored guests, could you please come forward and take a group photo? Yes, it's photo time, so please come forward. Thank you. 네, 이번에는 저희가 연사님들 모시고 조재기 이사장님과 강준호 단장님과 함께 기념사진 촬영하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 여러분 정면 봐주시고요. 하나, 둘, 셋 하면 밝은 미소 부탁드립니다. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Cheese or say kimchi. And we're going to 박수 한번 치면서 저희가 사진을 찍으라고 했거든요. Could you please clap your hand? Clap your hand? Yes, I know it's very staged, but it will make you look better in the photo. So thank you so much. 네, 감사합니다. Okay, that wraps our photo time. Thank you. You may go back to your seats. 네, 이제 다시 자리로 돌아가셔서 착석해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 그럼 저희 계속해서 이어가겠습니다. 2019 드림 투게더 서울 포럼은 발표자, 좌장 또 자리에 앉아 계신 여러분 모두가 함께 소통하는 자리로 마련되었습니다. 저희가 사전 참가 신청 시에 여론사님들께 전해드릴 그 다양한 질문을 미리 취합을 했고요. 또 지금 강연 들으시는 동안에도 실시간으로 휴대폰을 이용하셔서 자유롭게 또 질문을 하실 수가 있습니다. 실시간 질문을 하시는 방법에 대해서 간단하게 설명해 드리면 먼저 사전에 받으신 문자가 있으실 건데요. 그 문자에서 저희 사이트가 있거든요. 그 사이트를 클릭하셔서 Q&A 사이트로 가셔도 되고 아니면 지금 아이디 카드를 보시면은 그 아이디 카드에 QR 코드가 있습니다. 그 QR 코드를 휴대폰을 통해서 스캔을 하시면 또 저희 Q&A 그 사이트로 연결이 되니까요. 질문 있으신 분들은 이 두 가지 방법으로 질문해 주시기 바랍니다. Well, the Dream Together Seoul Forum 2019 is designed to bring all of our participants together, including the speakers, moderators, and our dear participants. And prior to the commencement of this forum, we collected diverse questions from our attendees during the registration process, and you can still ask a question real time using your cell phone. So if you have any questions or if you'd like to make any comments, there are two ways you can do this. First, you can use the text message you got from us. So if you go to your text message we sent out to you, you will find this link to our Q&A website. Or you can scan the QR code shown on your ID card. So if you take a look at your ID card, there's going to be a QR code. So if you can scan the QR code using your cell phone, you can also ask a question or leave comments. 근데 저희가 QR 코드로 이제 인식하실 분들은요, 먼저 QR 코드 인식이 가능한 그 애플리케이션을 다운을 받으셔야 QR 코드 인식이 가능하다는 건 다 알고 계시죠? 참고해 주시기 바랍니다. And once again, if you would like to use the QR code scanning method, first you have to download the QR code reading application. So please make sure you download it first, and then you can scan the QR code to ask a question or leave a comment on our official website. 네. 그럼 이제 다 어떻게 하시는지 아셨죠? 넘어가겠습니다. 네, 그럼 드디어 기다리던 기조 연설을 들어볼 차례인데요. 오늘 기조 연설은 올림픽학 분야의 세계적인 권위자시며 또 각종 스포츠 정책 프로그램 개발 및 관리 등의 연구에 정말 앞장서 오신 저희 영국 러프버러 대학교 이안 폴 헨리 명예 교수님을 모시고 스포츠를 통한 사회적 가치 확산 케이스 평가를 주제로 기조 연설 들어보겠습니다. So finally, it is time for our long-awaited keynote speech, which will be delivered by the Honorable Professor Ian Paul Henry, Emeritus Professor of the Leisure Policy and Management from the School of Sport, Health and Exercise Sciences at Loughborough University in the UK, who is the most acclaimed expert in the field of Olympics and sport research, and his keynote speech is titled Evaluating the Case for the Promotion of Social Values Through Sport. So without further ado, let me hand it over to him. So ladies and gentlemen, could you welcome Professor Ian Paul Henry with a big round of applause. 여러분 큰 박수로 환영해 주십시오.
Thank you very much for that welcome, and I'd like first of all to thank the organisers of today's event for the opportunity to speak to you today. I was fortunate enough to teach on one of the early editions of the Dream Together programme, and I'm aware of its aims and its philosophy, and so it's a pleasure to be able to reflect in my presentation today on matters which I hope will resonate with that philosophy. To give you an overview of the direction of travel of this session, I'll summarise the structure in the following terms. After some brief opening remarks, I'll address the evolution of evaluation methodologies, focusing in particular on impacts and limitations of logic models and theories of change, on the implications of realist evaluation, and on contribution analysis in helping to establish how sport can play a part in the realization of social values. First of all, then, some preliminary remarks about evaluations of social outcomes in sport. Arguments relating to the social values in sport and the social value of sport, in effect sport's social dividend, are often implicit, sometimes explicit, but rarely demonstrated. Assumptions or assertions that sport is good for us, it builds character, is good for mental and physical health, and is good for social cohesion and intercultural understanding are widely held. However, as we know, such contentions are not universally true. Sport can also be a site of corruption, can be physically and psychologically unhealthy, can be socially divisive, and so on. There is a social value of and in sport. We can all probably think of examples of this. But the manner in which positive social values are reproduced often remains to be identified and demonstrated in particular instances, and it cannot be simply asserted. I have in earlier work been engaged with a meta-evaluation study of the impact of staging of the Olympic Games in London in 2012. A study which involved addressing the question of the ability of the Games to generate specific outcomes in the forms of Games legacy. These are both social and material, intangible and tangible in nature. And demonstrating the former, social and intangible outcomes, would seem to be intrinsically more complicated than demonstrating the latter, though the demonstration of tangible material outcomes does present its own difficulties as well. Meta-evaluation consists of two categories of work. The first of these relates to analysis of outcomes, and this category is further subdivided into two substrands. The first of which is represented in meta-analysis, which is the statistical aggregation of quantitative evidence of effects in concrete policy settings. And the second substrand relates to metasynthesis, that is the aggregating and synthesizing of qualitative evidence of outcomes. The second category of meta-evaluation relates to evaluation of evaluations, and here there's a focus on process rather than outcomes. It's about how evaluations are done. Are the conclusions sound? Is interpretation and are the judgments defensible? Are the policy implications logical? And so on. And it's in this latter area that I want to focus. Oh, sorry. Technical problems, but so it's in this latter area that I want to focus. If we start first by looking briefly at logic models. Logic models have been employed in policy evaluation for at least the last 4 decades, and a logic model, as I'm sure many of you are aware, hypothesizes a chain of actions which lead to achievement of a desired outcome or goal or set of goals. This is within a defined context. It defines the inputs required to achieve the outcome, the throughputs, that is the manner in which inputs are used to achieve progress towards the outcome, the outputs, which are the immediate product of the use of those resources in the throughput stage, and finally the outcomes themselves, which are sometimes divided up into intermediate and long-term outcomes. An analytic logic model is thus intended to provide a theory of change explaining how and why the desired change can be achieved. And I want to illustrate this throughout my talk by reference to an analytic model developed, a generic model developed to incorporate the delivery of an AIDS education program. And this was a model articulated in the context of stage 1 of the evaluation of the International Inspiration Program, which was a 2012 program. And this was used to inform the evaluation of AIDS education projects which were part of that program. The model is analytic in the sense that, rather than descriptive that is, in the sense that it goes beyond merely describing the sequence of actions and the reactions undertaken by various actors to highlight causal sequences where prior actions bring about subsequent changes and so on, developing a theory of change. The principal assumptions or theoretical premises underlying the theory of change and some of their limitations are as follows. First, it's argued that young people are likely to engage with education through sport and games more enthusiastically than through traditional educational methods. And of course, we know that that will not be true for all children. Some children are alienated by sport. Or for all sports, competitive games can be alienating for some children, particularly where they have little chance of success. A related assumption is that developing self-efficacy through sport can enhance self-efficacy in wider social contexts. Perceived self-efficacy relates to people's beliefs about their capacities to produce effects. In short, their perception that they, by their own efforts, may be able to affect outcomes in their own lives. Teaching sporting skills can produce high levels of perceived self-efficacy if appropriate positive experiences of sport are provided. And this is the claimed mechanism here. But such causal claims need to be tested and challenged in terms of the internal logic or the empirical evidence which supports them. In this case, for example, negative experiences may produce the opposite, where in competitive sport the individual perceives that no matter how hard they try, how hard they practice, how hard they train, they'll not be able to affect the sporting outcome. In addition, it's by no means clear in the literature that enhancing self-efficacy in sport will result in enhancing self-efficacy in other social domains. So the wider claims are to some extent on shaky ground. It's further assumed that improved knowledge and understanding on the part of young people will increase the likelihood of intended behavioural change. Now, while one might argue that improved knowledge and understanding of sexual health matters will be a necessary condition of behavioural change, it's not a sufficient condition for such change for all individuals. The availability of resources through which to implement behavioural change may well also be required. And the behavioural change achieved, it's argued, will reduce levels of infection and increase life expectancy. And here the assumption is that key behaviours related to transferal of HIV/AIDS infection have been identified, and knowledge about such behaviours transmitted during the education through sport programmes will inform young people's subsequent behaviour. And finally, there's an assumption that higher parental life expectancy will reduce child poverty. And underlying this assumption is the claim that a major cause of child poverty is the lack of an adult parent to provide care and shelter and some financial resource for children in societies with high adult mortality rates through AIDS. This, of course, may not be the only factor in the introduction of child poverty, but it certainly can be a relevant one. In summary, then, we can see a set of testable and contestable elements in our account of change underpinning the logic model employed. Okay, I'll move on now to some comments about realist evaluation and their bearing on the use of logic models. Realist evaluation, as propagated by Ray Pawson and his colleagues, highlights the significance of environmental context in affecting the impact of causal relations. The same logic model will not effectively capture the causal relationships which will be operating in different social contexts. The nature and impact of an AIDS education intervention, and thus the applicability of our generic model, will vary according to the various contexts in which it's employed. The age and gender of the target population, for example, the professional background and skills of project providers, the physical location of the project and its physical resources, and the prominence of AIDS and AIDS awareness in a given social context. These are all likely to impinge on the application of the logic model itself. In effect, we will need different logic models, or at least different versions of the simplified generic logic model to accommodate these differences. In Pawson's much quoted term, realist evaluation is not about discovering what works in a one-size-fits-all solution to a policy problem, but rather it addresses the question of what works, for whom, under what circumstances, for how long, and so on, reflecting the complexity of social and policy contexts. Thus, the answer to the question of what values sports interventions can effectively promote will depend on understanding the causal chain, the logics which apply in given contexts, and articulating what works best for whom and why in those different circumstances. So I want to go on now to make some comments about contribution analysis and its relevance to sports policy. In terms of demonstrating value for money, government bodies or sporting organisations will want to know not simply whether output goals have been met and outcomes have been achieved, but what the contribution of their intervention has been towards generating those outputs and achieving those outcomes. Contribution analysis has been developed by public policy analysts as an approach designed to address this type of question. John Main, who's the leading figure in contribution analysis, recommends a 6-step approach for investigating such contributions. The first two relate to developing a results stroke logic chain, which, with the links of the results chain needing to be assessed. And I quote here, identifying which links are strong, where good evidence is available, strong logic or wide acceptance, and which are weak, with little evidence available, weak logic or little agreement amongst stakeholders, close quotes. So alternative explanations of the outcomes, intended and or observed, will need to be considered. These alternative sources of influence affecting the achievement of outcomes might include, for example, the existence of other forms of public health education, the availability of condoms and spermicides for sexually active populations, the existence of clean needle programs, and so on. These alternative explanations have to be investigated and their impacts factored into explanations of outcome. The fourth step he refers to involves the assembling of what he calls a performance story, which sets out the explanation of what contribution the intervention has made, its strengths and limitations, and presents arguments for its credibility. The fifth and penultimate step involves seeking and identifying additional evidence. This evidence may be the result of detailed evaluation of causal factors relating to outputs and outcomes within the logic model, within the performance story, or it may be evidence from analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of other AIDS education programs. But as Main suggests, with the new evidence, we should be able to build a more credible story, one that a reasonable person will be more likely to agree with. It will probably not be foolproof, but will be stronger and more credible. Now, this last point is absolutely critical, since it reflects the fact that contribution analysis does not normally provide definitive evidence to support one set of claims. Rather, it seeks to develop the most reasonable set of conclusions given the nature of the data available. Just as in discourse analysis, one seeks to identify the warrantability of an argument, that is, to assess the reasonableness of the argument for the conclusions promoted, so the performance story is the most reasonable explanation of contribution to outcomes available from the existing evidence sources. So while the logic model approach seeks to identify the causal chain of events which are sought, and realist evaluation requires the identification of ways in which this will vary under different environments or different conditions, contribution analysis looks beyond this to address the question of the extent to which outcomes, negative or positive, can be attributed to the intervention itself. It does so by considering the extent to which the logic model and its theory of change are supported by existing data in similar context, whether this is internal to the project in the form of, for example, performance data, or external to the project in terms of evidence from other sources or other evaluations that provide or undermine support for causal claims. In our case, internal sources of performance data would involve measuring change in participants' knowledge and awareness of the nature of AIDS, its transmission, and impact assessments of reported behaviour intentions to act responsibly in risk situations on the part of the target population, and so on. External data would involve, for example, the assessment of evidence from studies of AIDS education programs and their effectiveness in other similar contexts. And our search for evidence should include the assessment of alternative explanations of how the outcomes have been achieved, assessing the relative contributions of factors identified beyond those accounted for in our theory of change. This seeking out of and assessing of additional data and evidence will allow us to make or revise claims about the reasonableness of the performance story of how our outcomes are achieved. Contribution analysis does not seek to provide a golden bullet to solve the problem of what brings about a given outcome or a set of outcomes in a given context. It does not seek to prove that a single factor is responsible for an outcome, nor does it provide a multi-factored causal account. What it does do is provide an analysis of whether there is evidence to support the claim that the intervention under consideration is linked causally to the outcomes sought in the context considered, of whether the evidence is strong or weak, whether or not there are other factors which might account for the outcomes achieved, and what the relative significance of the contributions of the intervention or the competing factors are in explaining these outcomes. On this basis, we can address the key question for which providers want an answer, which is what contribution does my intervention make to the outcomes obtained? And it's on this question that the value for money assessments will be made. In conclusion, some final comments. The policy evaluation literature has developed significantly in the last 40 years or so. Evaluation studies have at times tended to be dominated by the quest for hard, by which I mean quantitative, data to give precise and accurate support for claims of cause and effect, often conflating precision and accuracy. However, the reporting, for example, of standard error estimates or proportion of explained variance in precise quantified terms, which has precision, does not necessarily equate with accurate estimates. Reliance on statistical association and the gold standard of randomized controlled trials as the only worthwhile forms of evidence of cause and effect has given way to complementary approaches involving the application of formal logic in the qualitative identification of necessary and sufficient conditions for outcomes to be achieved in given contexts. Qualitative method synthesis has been used recently in generating evidence in meta-evaluations of sporting events such as the 2012 Olympic Games. But these methods do not address the question of what works, but rather of what it is reasonable to argue works in certain contexts and why. The reasonableness or warrantability of the argument is thus our keystone, which allows us to make reasonable and robust claims, or at least to assess what might reasonably count as robust claims for such arguments. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Well, the Honorable Professor E.M. Paul Henry, Emeritus Professor of Leisure Policy and Management from the School of Sport, Health, and Exercise Sciences at Loughborough University in the United Kingdom, has just delivered a terrific keynote speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give him another round of big applause. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Thank you so much. 네, 이제 발표를 들어볼 차례인데요. 먼저 외교부 공공외교총괄과 표정화 과장님께서 스포츠 외교 및 공공외교를 주제로 첫 번째 발표를 해주시겠습니다. Now it's time for our presentations, and the very first presentation, titled Sports Diplomacy and Public Diplomacy, will be delivered by the Honorable Madame Jeonghwa Pyo, Director of Public Diplomacy Division at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Director Pyo with a big round of applause. 여러분, 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Hello, I'm Pyo Jeonghwa, Director for Public Diplomacy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Some of you may wonder what public diplomacy is and why someone who works on public diplomacy is here today to talk about sports. Different from traditional diplomacy, which mainly focuses on government-to-government contact, traditional diplomacy has a long history dating back centuries and still playing an important role in foreign policy. Public diplomacy, on the other hand, has a relatively shorter history but a wider audience. Public diplomacy is about reaching out to the foreign public and introducing the many charms of Korea. For these interactions with the foreign public, culture can be a starting point. Some of you may have gotten to know Korea through K-pop, K-drama, Korean food, or other contents. Sports is also an asset that carries both Korean and universal values. Not only is sports a good way to learn about a foreign country, it carries a timeless, universal value. Today's forum theme is sports value and diffusion, and among the many values components of sports value, I would like to focus today on solidarity, discipline, and peace. When you move to a foreign country, one way of making new friends is through playing sports together. You have to participate and interact with your team and your coach. From young children to senior citizens, sports is open to anyone. Friends you meet at the gym can go a lifetime, and this kind of openness creates a sense of belonging, leading to the value of solidarity, which is the building block for communication, cooperation, and community. Second, Korea has a long history of practicing discipline through sports. The trainees learned disciplines such as respect toward the master and elderly, self-control, and meditation through sports. The language of discipline may be different by country, but we learn the same rules and share common results, such as the strengthening of the body and mind. But most of all, sports carries a message of hope and peace. Even during wartime, soldiers could find moments of comfort by playing sports. Canadian soldiers played hockey during the Korean War, and when the war veterans were invited back to Korea last year, there was an event replaying the game to honor and commemorate the sacrifices of the war veterans. My government has never forgotten this depth of gratitude, and we honor Korean War veterans annually by inviting them and their families to Korea, including peace camp for the children and grandchildren of war veterans and scholarship programs. Sports created a breakthrough when South Korea and North Korea entered the 1991 Table Tennis World Championship as one united team. Since then, there were 5 occasions where the two Koreas entered international sport field as a unified team. We hope that the Tokyo Summer Olympics next year will also be an Olympic of peace, an opportunity where the two Koreas may enter as one team again and lead to cooperation where the two Koreas can jointly bid for the 2032 Summer Olympics. President Moon emphasized these points as he met IOC President Bach last September. not only for the Olympics, where Sports Stadium shows us a place where winning is possible without arms and violence, sport symbolizes peace once again when South Korea and North Korea together co-registered the Shirim, traditional Korean wrestling, to UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage. Next year will be the 17th year since the Korean War broke out, and we want to carry a message of peace on the Korean Peninsula, showing Korea's effort and transformation based on the three principles of zero tolerance for peace, mutual security guarantee, and co-prosperity. Because of these universal values of solidarity, discipline, and peace, sports movies are popular as they carry a story that many people can relate to. Now let's talk about sports in the Korean context. The most famous Korean sports is Taekwondo, which embodies Korean heritage and also the three universal values of sports well. Korean embassies abroad host Taekwondo championships regularly, and this year, such championships was held in more than 100 countries. Friends and families gathered together in every region, and the final championship is held in Muju, South Korea, every year. Korea's passion for sports has continued, and now Korea's participation and contribution goes beyond the Korean Peninsula. Park Hang-seo is the national football coach for Vietnam. So Nung-min plays for Tottenham Hotspur, United Kingdom. Ri Hyun-jin played for the LA Dodgers, the United States, and Kim Young-kyung is a volleyball star playing for the Turkish Women Volleyball League. These sports stars inspire and could be the bridge that makes people want to learn more about Korea. Korea also hosted a series of international events. Korea hosted the 1988 Seoul Summer Olympics, 2002 FIFA World Cup, 2011 Daegu World Championship in Athletics, and recently the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. These mega events were a festival, a milestone in Korea's history and international status. With spotlight on Korea, more global citizens got to know about Korea's development, growth, society, and everyday lives, leading to new opportunities. These events had an impact not only for Koreans, but to many participants who became international stars. Korea is proud to have hosted global festivals bringing people together, whether you are a player or an audience. These are some of the reasons that among the many contests of public diplomacy, sports too is a valuable asset. And because sports is fun and various, its accessibility also makes it a great source for public diplomacy. So with this great contents, how can Korea strengthen public diplomacy? First, we could strengthen international network and cooperation. From IOC to smaller local networks, sports networks can strengthen Korean diplomacy and soft power. Yesterday and today, the ASEAN ROK Summit is taking place. The Korean government is forging various ties with ASEAN countries, and the photo on the right shows the Korean ambassador to the Philippines meeting the chairman of the Philippine Olympic Committee. Various agencies also organize invitation programs and friendship tournaments to forge and build friendship. The photo on the top shows the sports minister for Belize, and the photo on the bottom is the IOC head for Angola, both of whom were invited to Korea last year. And this slide shows the Korean government's invitation to the diplomatic missions here in Seoul to visit the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic sites. Second, public diplomacy works both ways. As much as we would like to promote Taekwondo, we are also interested in learning about the traditional and unique sports activity of each country. With these goals, our embassies visit many local cities and towns to meet and interact with the public in a mutual way. Third, we must work together as Team Korea. As the ministry governing public diplomacy, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs work together with various agencies as we share the same goal of enhancing Korea's soft power. A public diplomacy committee is held every year to share information and coordinate public diplomacy of each ministries. Not only the Korean embassy, but the local government, Korea Foundation, and KOICA too also participate in public diplomacy. And not only the government sector, but private citizens and organizations also contribute in this process. While working on building and expanding platforms, the government encourage and welcome creative ideas from students and appreciate the expertise of professionals. Along with these offline activities, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs regularly upload various information and events on SNS platforms for wider communication with the public. In line with today's forum titled Dream Together, we can dream together as a team, building networks and mutually interacting to achieve these goals. Public diplomacy is not limited to sports and culture alone. We hope that interest in Korea that started from sports can lead to interest in other aspects of Korea, including Korea's history and policies. Public diplomacy has three contents: culture, knowledge, and policy. And we would like to present a comprehensive picture of Korea. This is why Korea takes an integrated approach on public diplomacy. Nowadays, it is common to see Taekwondo championship and other sports events combined with cultural performance. 슬라이드 하나 틀어줄 수 있나요? 평창 그림 있는 거? A prime example of the integrated approach would be the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games last year. Pyeongchang was the first Olympics to adopt 5G technology, 360-degree virtual reality, and glassless 3D, to name a few. Policy-wise, it was a significant breakthrough as North Korea sent the largest delegation ever to the Winter Olympics. In the area of culture, more than 1,000 cultural programs, including K-pop concerts, traditional performance, and video arts were presented. Sports is an area with many potentials. The contents of Korean culture are evolving, and there are new areas where you can pursue your dreams and be creative. These opportunities are open to all of us, even if you don't major sports. For example, if you work in the movie industry, producing a movie featuring Taekwondo would be one way of introducing Korean culture to the world. Yesterday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs hosted the ASEAN ROK Cultural Innovation Summit, where these kinds of future-oriented ideas of how the cultural industry could be a new engine for growth were discussed. I hope that the younger generation here today have dreams and inspirations that consolidate the value of solidarity, discipline, and peace. Like the slogan for the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, I hope that today's forum helps spark and connect passion once again as we strive to communicate with the world through Korea's various grace and charms, including sports. It's something that we can dream together, advance together, and achieve together. 감사합니다.
네, 대한민국 외교부의 주요 과제 중 하나는 전략적인 공공 외교 추진을 통해 한국에 대한 올바른 인식을 제고하고 또 우리 외교 정책에 대한 지지와 공감대를 확보해 나가는 역할을 하는 것이라고 합니다. 오늘 표정화 과장님을 모시고 공공 외교의 일부로서 스포츠 외교가 지니는 그 의의에 대한 발표를 잘 들어봤습니다. Well, as you all know, one of the major missions of Korea's foreign ministry is to raise the awareness of Korea by implementing strategic public diplomacy policies, thereby gaining more support from the international community. And today, Director Pyo has told us more about public diplomacy or sports diplomacy as part of public diplomacy. We'd like to thank her once again for her wonderful speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give Director Pyo another round of big applause. 감사합니다. 네, 다음 순서로 넘어가겠습니다. 이번에는 숙명여자대학교 글로벌 서비스 학부 최동주 교수님께서 스포츠와 국제 협력을 주제로 두 번째 발표를 해주시겠습니다. And the second presentation, titled Sport and International Cooperation, will be delivered by the Honorable Professor Dongju Choi, Professor of School of Global Service, who is serving as the Executive Director of the Institute of Global Governance at Sungmyeong Women's University. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Choi with a big round of applause. 여러분, 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Thank you for kind introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The opportunity given today to me to make my presentation in this memorable forum is truly appreciated and honored as well. Sport, as we all know, is the most universalized concept recognized by humankind. It's been with us no matter which generation, sexuality, ethnicity, region, culture, language, social capital, political system, and ideology. Nowadays, global society has only one occasion, being gathered and enjoyed together. That event is Olympiad. Only one. As this tells us, recognizing we've been discussing and heading toward constitutionalization of global society suggested by giant scholar William Habermas, it is very clear that we the states are in dire need of instrumentalize and employ sport to cruise toward that goals. Furthermore, as we know that the 16th and 17th goals of UN Sustainable Development Goals encourage member states to enhance their own capacity to connect them each other to achieve the goals, the importance of sport is well paid attention at this moment of time. My presentation has some contents in order. Keeping in mind the trend and requisites of global society, my presentation purports to examine how we materialize our own approach toward that aim by checking four sectional contents. First of all, I would like to check correlation and supplementarity between sport and development in terms of definition, impact, and contextual relationship between the two. Secondly, the presentation will discuss social value of sport and implementation process of international cooperation. Thirdly, as a case, the case of Korean sport ODA will be examined with its historical feature of development. Finally, the presentation proposes some ideas we learn from the discussion and some advanced cases of abroad. UN Task Force, right after they launched Millennium Development Goals, they defined sport in terms of peace and prosperity, especially on development perspective. They defined that all forms of physical activity contributing to physical fitness, mental well-being, and social interaction such as play, recreation, organized or competitive sport, and indigenous sports and games. As an enabler of development of the country, sport has its own unique attributes. As you see, it does have universal popularity. And then it does connect people and communities while they respecting social capital in terms of cultural diversity of all the capitals. And it does play as a communication platform. And it does have cross-cutting nature in all the goals that global society promotes and encourages member states to take part. And it does empower and motivate and inspire the people of the state from their young age. About its impact on development, as we experienced Korea as well. After the devastated country and war-torn country, after the conflicts, physical conflicts, we experienced that. The first coming up components that we experience is human decay. To recover the experience of human decay and deficits that we experience from human decay, it does take longer time than other recovery process. And then cultural diversity that UNESCO proposes, they started it a long time ago. Then under the cultural piece, they have emphasized that in all the goals that they promote with global society. Not only for social integration in terms of cultural diversity, we need to respect social capital, as I told you, based on cultural diversity and philosophical diversity and other diverse components of nation state. So in terms of impact on societal and economic development of the state, we would say that individual development and health promotion, disease prevention, promotion of gender equality, social integration and the development of social capital, peace building and conflict prevention, post-disaster trauma relief and normalization of life, and economic development, communication and social mobilization. In spite of the fact that the effects of sports on economic and social development, sport in developing countries are in a low state of development, as you see. Low investment in sport as a result of low economic growth, hindering opportunities for sport development and making it difficult to create a sports industry and market. Then how we do look into some correlation between development of sports again. In terms of economic development, we need to look into some points. First of all, underdeveloped physical education and sports participation, it does surely affect negative culmination of physical strengths of people. It does surely harms the potential of people's capacity in development process. And low financing of sport is largely caused by high dependency of sporting activities, good and equipment on foreign aid. Number 3, few sports facilities, physical environment of this, and few world sporting events hosted in developing countries. Sports facilities are often not maintained because of its insupportable financial cost. So their use is reduced. This diminishes the number of local sports competitions, and it decreases as well the length of training time and sports participations. Number 4, muscle drain, coming up with brain drain of talented third world athletes to develop the countries undermines the sporting subsistence of developing countries. And this muscle drain tend to turn into a brain drain, and sports coaches and managers their term, adding to the human decay they already experiencing. What about then international cooperation for development? There is some trend. IDC, International Development Cooperation, started with the sole purpose of transforming economic capabilities. Widespread claim that under development and the failure of economic growth are due to the personality, tradition, and the culture of the people of developing countries. That's what the UN and DAC defines. The spread of the global financial crisis caused a kind of complex multi-crisis in developing countries due to reduced investment in the sports field. The concept of inclusive growth in the international community also added up to that negative aspect and environment and surroundings. UN emphasized the importance of sports for social development and urges international cooperation. While we look into UN Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 major goals and 169 sub-goals to be implemented in the field by member states. How many goals you guess sports cross-cut? For this presentation at this forum, I have checked. Among 17 major goals, rather than 16 and 17, which emphasizing the partnership and friendship and collaboration, not with the specific goals. Among 15 policy goals, 6 goals, sports cross-cut. Among 169 UN SDG sub-goals for implementation, around more than 100 goals are engaged with sport. Sometimes it's engaged as instrument, sometimes it's engaged with real goals, sometimes it does have its own indirect relation with policy goals as well. So then we need to divide in terms of international cooperation how we would employ and instrumentalize the sport. First one is sport development of sport itself, the competency of sport of the country. Number 2, in terms of instrument, sport is employed for nations' development process and the quality of development as well, especially in long term. Human Development Index recently represents and overpass all other indicators while we measuring capacity of the nations. In terms of that, with regard to this, sport it does play its own role for human development and national development. We can judge. Now, I would like to turn out to my own claim on sport ODA. We need to have our own definition on it. Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Sports of Korea, they define sport ODA like this. Actually, I implemented my research project on this. Then we proposed that idea to the ministry, and they define that national projects on material and human resource aid activities for development of sport field of developing countries, respecting the recipient's value and self-esteem. It's not under the frame of donor and recipient. Nowadays, as you can check from goals 17 and 16 of Sustainable Development Goals proposed by UN, they emphasize the partnership. Now we have a summit, a Korean ASEAN summit today. Korean President last year, while visiting around all key countries of ASEAN member states, he shared his own emotion and experience with the leaders of the countries. He said that we experienced imperialism, we experienced colonialism, we experienced war, physical conflicts, no matter what it is, civil one or international one. We do share all the stuff. Then now we would like to take off or retake off to the stage that we should have been at. So while we're respecting that idea and those words by our president, we need to add up respecting the recipient, respecting partners, value and self-esteem. That's a key word that Korean sport ODA should keep in mind and should be with for coming years of constitutionalization of world society. I don't want to talk about neoliberal idea of sports international cooperation or developmental interventionism by some non-governmental organizations or NPOs, or justice area, especially monitoring process of watchers. Sport ODA could be strategic developmentalism, which sharing value and goals, and the process to achieving those goals. As many of international organizations and some specific countries have done. Korean sport ODA has two environments. First one, externally, in 2015, the Korean government proposes that we would be a hub of global citizenship education. It was proposed in World Education Forum. Then in 2016 was surely proposed by the former president in UN Congress that girls' education through sports and culture and other soft area would be fully supported by Korean government for coming 20 years by Korea support the global society by financing around $5 billion that was proposed in global citizenship education area. Then surroundings, in terms of surroundings that Korean foreign policy has these days, there has been increasing interest and cooperation in the field of development cooperation through sports in the international community. And the Hallyu and Korean Wave, yes, it is key components. As world's top 10 sport power, demand for international development cooperation from our partners has been increasing as well. And Korea has been, as you know, quite successful in its own competency in sport. Then they would like to learn how has it been possible. Internal factors, there is some strategic sense from Korean government. They would like to form soft power in the international community. Director Pyo already told us about some implications of the Korean policy posture, and they would like to exercise leadership in sports-related issues. That's why they have been hosting major sport events in this country. They would like to cultivate pride through sports development, and they would like to internationalize our traditional sport, taekwondo, and recently serum, and other areas as well. And they would like to play a role as an advanced sports nation with world-class athleticism and sports science. They would like to enhance the national image by expanding Korean Wave and public diplomacy, as you introduced. National image survey is very interesting. Total ODA budget, from that, sports ODA budget is only 0.02%. Now it's growing, but not fast. But was survey on national image of Korea, around 40% of respondents replied that sport is also a route to contact with Korea by foreigners' view. 7.4% of respondents choose sport as the most exposed area in Korean-related contexts. See on the red box, in the field of favorable image, sport is rated more positive than modern culture, like BTS, including that. And sport field is rated more positively by foreigners compared to the Korean people's perception. Very surprising how sport would contribute to the improvement of national image is quite clear from these numbers. And national image survey results, the impact of Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games on Korea's image was positively assessed by 74% of foreigners and 67% of Koreans. This is higher than the positive impact of the Inter-Korean Summit, which is a key event in recent years. Korean ODA history, you can refer before the, becoming the DAC member of OECD, we tried to link and bridge with sports as a bridge nation. And from 2010, once we, happened to be a member of 24th member of DAC of OECD, we've been trying to disseminate the idea, our policy experience and our policy posture with developing countries as well. So 41 institutions, including 11 local governments, we have done 1,312 ODA projects. Among them, only 0.2 of budget has been invested into sport ODA area. This is, clear picture of, organization, Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism, they do. On the Minister of Foreign Affairs, public diplomacy, yes, but they don't directly deal with international cooperation for development. Then COICA does their, master's program. And from then on, I try to, summarize all the most of our sport ODA institutions and policies and programs here. Korean Sport and Olympic Committee, yes, they do. And then K-Sport, the prestigious institution here in Korea, historically backing up all the competency of nations' sports capability and policy capacity and how to implement it. They've been in the center of that, K-Sport, and Kukki-won for Taekwondo, and KOICA, they do, and Gangwon Province of International Sports Committee, yes, they have their own programs. Then what is the feature? Key feature of Korea Sport ODA. In the early stage of Sport ODA, we did focus on strengthening elite sports, while expanding sports ODA aligned with development issues, including health and education of marginalized people, with support for sport education programs, dispatch of volunteers and coaches and conventions in the late 21st century. First decade of 21st century. Need to launch a sports ODA program aimed at spreading of Korea's success case. Korea's sport ODA programs need to be implemented to support the establishment of sport industry ecosystem based on what UN SDG proposes. Infrastructure and system of recipient countries. Following cases are some advanced countries' case on sport ODA. Germany has been enhancing its own ownership of recipient countries through project modeling. The Switzerland, they have focused on establishment of a knowledge group for basic research information exchange, and professional project delivery, knowledge sharing. Then I introduce some diagram here and picture here how to select target countries. Korean Ministry of Finance, Korean Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Sport, and Korean Ministry of Gender and Family, they all use this matrix. It was proposed about 15 years ago. Once we are struggling to have our own model and frame to how to select targets with priorities, I was among the the research member of that. Then country size and relevance, level of acceptance, and other policy environments are all considered here. That we made the metrics. As a British state, your countries might be on the need of doing this later on. So I hope it would be kind of a good reference for you. Then Australia, they try to assist developing countries to enhance social and cultural development while raise national brand value of donor country. Australia, they have simultaneous ideas on this and reciprocal ideas on this. Very practical. United Kingdom is quite well known because their case recognized the function and role of sports for social development and has been actively using sports as a part of the country's development project since the 1960s. Korean sport ODA feel they would like to learn from it, and they will be try to among top best players in sports ODA field while learning and getting lessons from other Western countries as well. Further discussions and Q&A will be done in Q&A. Thank you for your listening.
네, 이번 발표에서는 스포츠와 발전, 또 스포츠와 국제 협력이라는 개념적인 연계성에 대해서 검토하고 한국의 국제 협력 차원에서 추진해오고 있는 제반적인 그 정책적 노력들을 살펴보고 또 이와 관련한 시사점에 대해서 들어봤습니다. Well, this time we took a look at the conceptual linkages between sports and development and sports and international cooperation. And we also reviewed diverse policies implemented by the Korean government so far as part of our international cooperation measures. So I'd like to thank him once again. So ladies and gentlemen, please give Professor Choi another round of big applause. 감사합니다, 교수님. 다시 한번 리마인드 해드리면요. 저희가 질문하는 방법을 다시 한번 말씀드리겠습니다. 저희가 사전에 보내드린 그 텍스트 메시지를 사용하셔서 거기 들어가시면 저희 링크가 걸려 있어요. 링크를 클릭하시면 거기 들어가셔서 저희 Q&A 란에다가 질문이나 코멘트를 남기실 수 있습니다. 아니면은 저희 아이디 카드에 나와 있는 QR 코드를 또 휴대폰으로 스캔하시면 또 질문하실 수 있으시니까요. 많이 질문과 코멘트 남겨주시기 바랍니다. And once again, you can ask a question real time as you listen to our presentations today. There are two ways to do it. So first, you can use the text message we sent out to you, and you will find a link, and that will lead you to our official website. So either use the text message you got from us, or number two, you can scan the QR code which is shown on your ID card. So if you take a look at your ID card, you will see a QR code. So you can scan it with your cell phone to leave a comment or ask a question. So please make sure you do that, okay? 네, 그럼 다음 순서로 넘어가겠습니다. 이번에는 미얀마 보건스포츠부 Thet Khaing Win 차관님께서 발표를 해주시겠습니다. This time, the Honorable Mr. Thet Khaing Win, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Sports of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, will give us a presentation titled "Changing Trends of Sports in Myanmar." So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him with a bigger round of applause, please. 여러분, 큰 박수 다시 한번 부탁드립니다.
Yeah. So, very good afternoon. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Thet Khaing Win from the Ministry of Health and Sports from Myanmar. It's a great pleasure for me to be here to talk about our changes which has been done in our department during recent years. So not working. Yes. So we are the two ministry combined very recently. Previously, we have a Ministry of Sports and Ministry of Health, different ministry. But about 4 years ago, we combined two ministry as a one ministry, calling Ministry of Health and Sports. Regarding the sports, we have two main large areas for the mass sports and competitive or excellent or the elite sports. Mass sports mean to educate the people, especially youth, and to promote their inclusions through sports practices, to encourage physical activity, healthy lifestyle, and then to reach their full potential. And competitive or the excellent sports, we improve national identity, pride, international prestiges, and diplomatic recognition, individual development of talented people, and the capacity to inspire increased mass participation in the sports. So our mottos of the mass sports in Myanmar is sports for one to sports for all. The goal of the excellent sport is to achieve any prizes and medals in international competitions and thereby raise the dignity of the countries. Previously, we mainly aimed on the excellent sports, but with the new regime, we are changing our motto. We mainly focus on the mass sports. We mainly focus on the health of the whole population by improving the physical activities and doing exercise, which means exercise as a medicine. I will go very briefly about our country locations. We are in the Southeast Asia, bordering with the Andaman Sea and the Bay of Bengal in south. It is bordered north and northeast by the China, and east by Laos and Thailand, and west by Bangladesh and India, and in the state of the Nagaland and Manipur and Mizoram. So we are living between the two big countries, the China and the India. This is the geographical situation of our country. We have populations of nearly 51.5 million people living in our countries, and we have nearly 15 states and divisions with the 74 districts. I will talk something about our Ministry of Health and Sports. In our ministry, we have 7 departments. 6 departments were concerned with the Ministry of Health, and then 1 department is for Ministry of Sports. In the department of the Ministry of Sport is a Sports and Physical Education Department. We have several subsections under the Sports and Physical Education Department. Department of Sports and Physical Education, we have the mandate to develop, coordinate, and promote quality physical education, training, and sports activity in our country. The role of our department is to promote and develop sports and physical education through guiding, coordinating, and monitoring strategic planning and budgeting for DSPE, coordinating training of technical personnel, advocacy of inclusion of sports in other sectors. Provision of facilities and equipment, initiate and promote coordination, collaboration, and networking amongst all stakeholders, oversee advocacy for DSPE in the areas of resource mobilization, favorable legal framework, and tax provision on sports goods and equipment and prices. We also do monitor and evaluate the programs of our departments. We also have a Myanmar Olympic Committee, and it is chaired by our Union Minister, Dr. Umien Thuy, and the Secretary General is the Umyu Line, Director General of the Department of Physical Education. So we formed the Olympic Committee in 1946 and was recognized by the International Olympic Committee in the following years. The committee's main responsibility is to support Olympic and regional sports meets. Committee trains sportsmen and sportswomen, making arrangements to enable them to take part in international tournaments and overseas Olympic-related events. We have altogether 14 subcommittees and 3 sections. Myanmar Olympic Committee, with a close collaboration with our department, our ministry, the Sports Federation, Myanmar Olympic Committee, we send the athletes to participate in international sports and including Olympic Games, Goodwill Sports meets and invitational sports competitions. As well as we hosted the international tournaments of world level, Asian level, and Southeast Asia level, ASEAN level, and we also hosted the 2nd and 5th Southeast Asia Peninsular Games and 27 Southeast Asia Games. So we also have as full federations and infrastructures. We have more and more sports federations, and now we have altogether 46 sports federations according to the data of the 2019. These are the legendary athletes from our country. The current Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Health and Sport is the former the champion of the badminton who wins medals in the Southeast Asia Games. Is it Dr. Domya Lee Singh? He is currently the Deputy Minister of our ministry. We have other legendary athletes. The common one is the Aung Lan Ansan, who is a mixed martial arts champion, and we have other champion of the football and boxing and weightlifting. They are some of them has already passed away, and some are still alive. In line with the International Olympic Committee changing trends, Myanmar National Sports Bill is also reformulated. This is a meeting chaired by the Deputy Minister, Dr. Mya Lay Singh, for coordinating meeting for the National Sports Bill meeting. This is the Myanmar National Olympic Council and Myanmar Olympic Committee meeting, which was formed on the February 2019, and committee was formed in 2019, recently May. The brighter future of Myanmar sport through sports science and sports medicine. We have BSc sports courses. We have started since 2013 at 2 universities. We have a 2 sports university, one in Yangon and one in Mandalay. Yangon is the largest business capital of our country, and Mandalay is the 3rd largest capital in our country. 2 batches of BSc sports courses have been finished, and we have 48 graduates from the Yangon Takon University and 89 graduates from the Yaranabon University, Mandalay. 1 batch of BSc Sports Honours course has finished, and we have altogether 14 graduates from the Yangon and 13 graduates from the Mandalay. We also have a diploma, master and PhD courses. BSc Sports Honours degree holder are being arranged for further study at Mahidol University, Thailand. Master of Sports Medicine courses will be open very soon for the medical doctors. And medical doctors from the Department of Sports and Physical Education, they are attending online diploma courses in sports medicine UK every year. In this Korea, Dream Together master programs, we have 2 candidates attending in Seoul. We also have conferences and seminars. The Sports Science and Sports Medicine Satellite Conference will be held on 22nd January coming year in Yangon. So we are going to invite the speakers from the ACSM, United Kingdom, Korea, Hong Kong, and Singapore and Malaysia. We also have another symposium on sports science and sports medicine, and symposium on exercise medicine. It will be held in the 66th Myanmar Medical Conference, which will be held on 21st January 2020 at the Myanmar Medical Association building in Yangon, Myanmar. This is the 2 big symposium which was all done in last year, not last year, about June 2019. We did a national seminar on strengthening health promoting schools, the aiming physically and mentally fit youth for a brighter future. This was also chaired by our State Councillor, Dr. Aung San Suu Kyi, who is now attending the Busan, the ASEAN ROK Summit. We also did a physical education seminar today for an active and healthy population tomorrow, which was also held in May 2019. We have institutes of sports and physical education. There are basic education schools in combined with athletic training for various sports disciplines, and new generation athletes are coming out from these institutes. More and more institutes of sports and physical education are open in various states and regions of our country. Now we have 6 institutes of sports and physical education in our country. Regarding international training programs and competition, we participated and hosted ASEAN Chess Championship and some of the ASEAN World Foundation Men under U23 Volleyball Championship, Myanmar International Series, Badminton Competition, a Korean Taekwondo, an Ambassador Cup celebration competitions, and ASEAN University Games, which was hosted in our country last year. For the capacity building, we are working very closely with the IAAF, ASEAN level, and other training like a canoe coach training courses, and refurbishment project for the China-aided National Indoor Stadium at the Tuana Stadium, and IWF development programs 2019 seminar workshop for technical officials. These are the seminar for capacity building doing in our country. Regarding our research activities, we are doing several researches for the sports medicine and the sports activities. Sports, our department, in collaboration with the Department of Medical Research, carry out the various researches for our Myanmar athletes. Adolescent Growth Fitness Project, which was granted by the WHO, and Health Records of Myanmar, to do the health records of Myanmar athletes. And another thing is, we are practicing physical exercise as a medicine. So, we have up-to-date evidence based for the prescribing exercise as a medicine in treatment of the different diseases, including psychiatric disease, neurological disease, metabolic disease, cardiovascular disease, pulmonary disease, musculoskeletal disorders, and even for cancer. So we are the developing countries, and we are facing the communicable diseases as well as for the non-communicable disease like hypertension, diabetes, and coronary heart disease and cancers. So since 10% of the adults is above 18, 8% of male and 30% of female are physically inactive in our country. So non-communicable disease are estimated to account 68% of all premature death in our country, according to our 2016 WHO data. That is why we have to draw the national strategic plan for prevention and control of non-communicable disease in our country, 2017-2021. In this strategy, the physical exercise is the main corner or the modifiable risk factors for prevention and reducing the incidence of the non-communicable disease. In addition, our ministry established an exercise medicine national center in Myanmar, and we have already signed MOU with the EIM Global Center with vision to achieve healthy Myanmar by way of inculcation of culture of regular exercise, taking activities, and with mission to provide guidance to health professionals to promote physical activity as a preventive and therapeutic strategy for chronic disease to improve health of our nations. Healthy Myanmar National Seminar, which was also held in 2017. Healthy Myanmar Committee was also formed in each state and regions all over the country, and there are 7 action plans to encourage the active participation of our people in physical exercise and sports activities. Mass sports activities like walking, running, cycling were included in ceremony of special memorable days and occasions. In our country, December month is recognized as Sports Month, and the people hold various sports activities and sports competition in December, every December. These are some examples of the mass sports activities carried out in our countries. Cycling, walking, and exercise. So we are doing these exercise as a mass sports activities. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Well, the Honorable Mr. Thet Khaing Win, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Sports of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, gave us a presentation titled Changing Trends of Sports in Myanmar. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Permanent Secretary. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give him another round of big applause. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 다음 발표로 넘어가겠습니다. 이번에는 영국 켄트 대학교 니키 쿠트로 프로그램 디렉터님께서 발표를 해주실 거고요. 주제는 지속 가능한 자원봉사 유산을 확산하기 위한 자원봉사의 가치, 상황, 경험의 상호작용, 2012년 런던 올림픽의 교훈입니다. Well, this time the Honorable Professor Nikki Cottrell, Assistant Professor and Program Director of Sport Management at the University of Kent in the UK, will give us a presentation titled The Interplay of Volunteer Values, Circumstances and Experiences in Promoting a Sustainable Volunteering Legacy and Learning from the 2012 London Olympic Games. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a big round of applause. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Dear guests, participants and organizers, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today about this topic that is very close to my personal experiences as well. So basically, my first volunteering experience at a mega sport event was in Athens 2004, and 8 years later, I was fortunate enough to be a volunteer coordinator in London 2012. So this research is also inspired from my personal experiences, and I would like to identify and discuss with you what values underpin volunteer motivations and whether certain values are cultivated by sport event volunteering, and also what other factors are come into play when we take decisions to volunteer in sports and events, and what or if any there is a volunteer legacy associated with mega sport events. So basically, the presentation today will focus on identifying what evidence exists that mega sport events create a legacy, and also what lessons can London 2012 provide for future mega event organizers. In particular, whether a volunteer legacy has been formed in relation to sport volunteering. So data from London 2012 will be used in order to identify the relationship between values, individual circumstances and experiences in explaining future volunteering and the creation of volunteer legacies. So with the term legacy, we talk about all that remains. So all these different structures that are created through a sports event and remain after the event in the long term. However, despite the aspirations of host cities to create legacies and to use mega sport events to develop long-term impacts, the evidence that exists is very scant. And this is because sometimes there is lack of connection between the different phases of an event's life cycle. So events normally, in order to deliver legacy, we have to have a connection between the bid, planning, delivery, transition and legacy phases. However, previous events have failed to do so, and as we will see later, this was also the case with London and also in their strategy to develop a volunteering legacy. Normally, in order to deliver legacy, we have to have a legacy body that works alongside the organizing committee to deliver legacies. However, in most cases, either this doesn't exist, or there is limited funding, or they come into play later on without having the opportunity to develop and maximize and leverage these long-term impacts. So why would it have been important to develop a volunteering legacy out of London 2012? Again, mega sport events create long-term impacts, and in particular with the volunteering legacy and the social legacies of the Games. These foster opportunities to engage the local communities, to bring individuals together that come from different cultures and backgrounds to work together towards a common goal. So in this way, and in particular in London case, we have a strong volunteering culture. For example, the sport participation sector is underpinned by volunteers' efforts, and this means that with all these individuals that were first-time volunteers for London 2012, you can imagine the effect in the community that could have happened if we redirected their efforts and skills to maximize the impact on sport clubs and also other community and general settings. So approximately there are 85,000 volunteer-led sport clubs in England, and out of these 85,000 sport clubs, there are approximately 12 to 24 volunteers that sustain their operations. So if this games maker, that in total were 70,000, redirected their efforts and skills to help this community sports sector, perhaps we could have had also a sport participation legacy in London. So what was the case with the volunteering legacy of London 2012? So first of all, the London Games were the first mega event that explicitly set out to raise sport participation and volunteering levels. And even though there was a general mention in their bidding documentation, as well as in their government policies at the time, between 2007 and 2010, they mentioned volunteering legacy, but this was not very clear. So even though this was mentioned, it was not articulated as to who is going to be responsible to deliver legacies, and also what exactly the aims of these particular legacy strategies would be in relation to volunteering. In addition to that, London 2012, the organizing committee focused on delivery of the event, which happens often with most organizing committees, and not on delivering a legacy of volunteering. Again, there was not a separate legacy body that would be tasked with helping and maximizing the opportunities for volunteers to be redirected in future opportunities in sports. And in addition to that, in terms of the organizing committee and how they treated volunteers, this was criticized because the volunteers were, the interests of volunteers were not prioritized. And basically, the interests of the organizing committee were prioritized over the needs of the volunteers. So this means that they did not have a say in terms of their training opportunities, in terms of their roles that were allocated to them, or in terms of their shifts. And also in other criticisms that relate to the legacy of London 2012 is that Sport England, which is the government agency for mass participation sport, did not have access to the database with the contact details of volunteers to maximize and promote opportunities to them during, prior the time of the Games in order to maximize this volunteering legacy. So in terms of the research context and design, so as I mentioned previously, I was a volunteer coordinator in London, so I had access to the contact details of the transport volunteers. So I contacted them retrospectively 4 years after the event in order to examine the long-term impacts of the volunteer legacy. So these volunteers were Olympic family assistants and drivers. So they were in touch with the Olympic family, the National Olympic Committees, and other athletes or Olympic family clients. So they had quite an interesting role and also quite demanding. In terms of their demographics, what has been found is that it was consistent with the general games makers profile of London 2012. So most of them were of white British ethnicity. 4% had a disability, which if we see with the general population in the UK, 90% of the population lives with a disability. So again, if we take these statistics into account, it shows that in terms of a legacy aspiration, this might not have been achieved because the general profile of volunteers was not representative of the UK population as a whole. So in terms of the outcomes and the experiences that the volunteers reflected upon 4 years after this experience, first of all, the main legacy components were the memories that were enduring even 4 years after the event. So volunteers relived these experiences and talked about, in a positive way, about these particular memories. And specifically, these memories were intangible. However, some tangible aspects were mentioned, for example, the uniform or other souvenirs, but this was mainly as a prompt to these happy memories. Also, the volunteers talk about the experience as bringing them together, giving them opportunities to express a sense of belonging and a sense of community, and also to develop networks and friendships with other volunteers. In particular, some of them mentioned that they keep in touch with other volunteers, and also this has reinforced them to continue future volunteering. Another legacy aspect was the human capital, all these different transferable skills and job-specific competencies that were strengthened or enhanced from the volunteering experience in London. So that means that through the experience of London, they actually had the opportunity to find a job afterwards or to take part in other interview situations and use the skills that they have developed through their experience in London. Some other legacy components also related to the sense of national pride as well as games makers' pride. So notably within the data, there was a strong feel about being a games maker, being a participant and being part of this mega event, and also talking about the enthusiasm that this experience generated for their individuals. And also they talked about the sense of pride of being British, especially for British volunteers. They were actually very proud to be part of the event and also to use this as an opportunity to display national pride, help their community and their country to host a mega sport event, but also to bring people back to the country and leave some positive feelings and emotions for the future visitors of the country. Also, in terms of the personal values, there was an increased mention within the data about specific values carrying over into ethical and principled attitudes to life, and in particular, as a result of the experience and the interaction with different people from different cultures and backgrounds, it was mentioned in several cases that volunteers felt a development in their personal values, for example, an increase in sensitivity, tolerance, perseverance, and awareness of each other's differences in the disability, faith, and culture. So again, this was one of the main impacts of the experience, and also this was reinforced in the collective memories of London 2012 volunteers. So these experiences actually were reinforced in most cases with future volunteering. So among this particular sample, 66% they actually identified that they increased their volunteering experience after the games, and also they were more enthusiastic about volunteering in general. I forgot to mention that in most of these volunteers were not taking part in any volunteering before the games. So again, we can see here an impact of mega sport event volunteering in future volunteering experiences. So there is some evidence that an inspiration effect was created out of the Olympic Games in London by allowing those that were more motivated to be part of the event and to live a once-in-a-lifetime experience to also experience the more general rewards of volunteering, which are altruistic in nature. However, there is no evidence that this effect was planned for. As we said previously, the organizing committee focused just on delivering the event and not on planning any legacy. Between this particular sample, also some negative experiences were noted. For example, some of the volunteers showed that they were dissatisfied with the low levels of knowledge, the lack of challenge, and also their roles not matching their previous skills and experiences. So again, if we take into account the literature, if we are satisfied with the volunteer role and the contribution made, then we are much more likely to continue volunteering. So in this regard, there is a negative impact upon legacy, as it means that people that were dissatisfied with this treatment and this experience were less likely to continue volunteering. And this is also reinforced and strengthened by other research in the field. So in terms of the opportunities to volunteer and the structure in place to materialize this, most of the sample and most of the volunteers that took part in the study actually highlighted that they were not aware of ways to get involved, but also they were not aware of certain volunteering schemes that were acting as broker organizations that matched volunteer opportunities with their profiles. And therefore, again, we can see that there was a missed opportunity to deliver legacy effects. So, in particular, with Join In, which was the official legacy volunteering scheme of London 2012, this particular sample suggested that they were not aware of it. So, again, this highlights the missed opportunity to deliver legacy effects. And these are some quotes from the sample that, again, they highlight that, first of all, they did not know how to get involved, or they did not know ways or particular schemes to help them, to support them in their journey for future volunteering. So some conclusions based on what we've discussed today. First of all, structures, as we highlighted, were not in place to channel the post-games euphoria of London 2012 volunteers into further opportunities. And also there was a missed opportunity in terms of other legacy structures and support networks to help volunteers to find future opportunities. However, there was, again, also London 2012 had limited engagement with the local voluntary sector in London, as well as in other parts of the country. So again, there was no drive from the bottom up from all these other organizations to deliver legacy effects. However, there was an effect in terms of volunteering legacy. As we have highlighted, this was not planned for from the organizing committee. However, and we can say that this connection between event volunteering and further volunteering is not straightforward. There might be other influences in further opportunities. For example, as we have highlighted, there might be the lack of time that might play a role in future volunteering, as well as motivations of volunteering not being met in other environments. However, volunteering in mega sport events gives opportunities for individuals to experience social bonds and trust, to develop friendships and camaraderie, and to bring people together in order to work for a common goal. However, and in this particular sample, these legacy effects were enduring even 4 years after the event. And the most common denominator, the most important legacy component was this sense of community, this sense of purpose, as well as all the camaraderie that was developed through the volunteering experience in London. So if we want to maximize further opportunities in other future events, perhaps with more support and structure in place that are working alongside the organizing committee from the bidding phase along the delivery of the event, these opportunities could have been maximized for London 2012 volunteers. Thank you for your attention.
네, 이번에는 2012년 런던 올림픽 자원봉사자들의 참여에 따른 자원봉사 유산의 결정 요인은 무엇인지, 또 자원봉사자들의 올림픽 경험이 이 봉사자들의 가치, 또 자아 정체성, 또 미래 자원봉사에 미치는 영향에 대해서 들어봤습니다. Well, thank you very much once again, Professor Nikki Cottrell, for your excellent presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give her another round of big applause. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Thank you. 네, 이제 마지막 주제 발표입니다. 이번에는 2018 평창 기념재단 김정남 총괄운영부장님께서 마지막 주제 발표를 해주실 거고요. 주제는 지속 가능한 평창 올림픽 유산 2018 평창 기념재단 소개입니다. 여러분 큰 박수로 환영해 주십시오. Well, last but not least, the Honorable Mr. Cheongnam Kim, Director of the Pyeongchang 2018 Legacy Foundation, will deliver a final presentation titled Sustainable Pyeongchang Olympic Legacy, an Introduction to the Pyeongchang 2018 Legacy Foundation.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheongnam Kim, Director of Pyeongchang Legacy Foundation. 먼저 이런 뜻깊은 자리에 연사로 참여하게 되어 매우 영광으로 생각을 하며 모든 관계자와 참석자 여러분께 깊은 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 저는 오늘 지난해 성공리에 개최되어 전 세계인의 찬사를 받았던 2018 평창 동계올림픽이 남긴 다양한 유무형의 유산을 보존, 발전시키기 위한 다양한 평창 유산 사업에 대해 소개해 드리고자 합니다. 먼저 평창 유산 사업의 전반적인 개요를 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다. 저희 2018 평창 기념재단은 평창 올림픽 유산을 지속 가능하게 이어가기 위해 이를 전담하는 민관 협업 조직으로서 올해 4월 평창 대회가 남긴 잉여금을 토대로 설립이 되었습니다. 저희 재단은 대한민국 정부, 강원도, 대한체육회 등 다양한 유관기관과의 협력을 통해 올림픽이 남긴 유형의 유산인 올림픽 경기장 시설의 활성화뿐만 아니라 무형의 유산인 올림픽의 가치를 확산하고 동계 스포츠의 저변을 확대하기 위해 청소년 교육, 국제 포럼 등 다양한 유산 사업을 추진하고 있습니다. 저희 평창 유산 사업의 핵심 사업 영역은 일단 청소년과 일반인에 대한 교육, 그리고 스포츠의 저변을 확대하기 위한 다양한 스포츠 중심의 사업들, 그리고 마지막으로 평창 올림픽이 남긴 핵심 가치, 특히 평화 정신의 확산을 위한 다양한 사업입니다. 또한 올림픽 경기장들이 지속 가능한 형태로 유지되기 위해 본연의 전문적인 스포츠 시설은 물론 교육, 레저, 관광 등 다양한 분야에서 그 활용도를 높임으로써 올림픽 이후에도 지역이 발전할 수 있는 새로운 성장 동력으로 계속 이를 이어가고자 하고 있습니다. 저희 재단의 올림픽 시설을 활용한 사후 경기장 운영 계획입니다. 먼저 각각의 올림픽 경기장을 선수는 물론 일반인 모두가 쉽게 다가와서 체험하고 교육받고 또한 즐길 수 있는 복합적인 스포츠 시설로 운영할 예정에 있습니다. 또한 인접한 경기장들은 클러스터별로 묶어서 이를 연계 운영함으로써 올림픽 개최 지역을 스포츠, 교육, 그리고 레저, 관광, 힐링이 모두 가능한 올림픽 레거시 특화 지구로 장기적으로 성장시킬 계획에 있습니다. 다음은 동계 스포츠의 저변 확대입니다. 저희 드림 프로그램에 대해서 설명을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 저희 드림 프로그램은 동계 스포츠의 저변을 확대하기 위한 대표적인 ODA 프로그램으로서 동계 스포츠의 저변이 취약한 국가의 청소년들을 초청하여 동계 스포츠 아카데미는 물론 올림픽 가치에 대한 교육 그리고 한국에 대한 문화 체험 등을 하는 프로그램으로서 현재 15년째 이를 이어가고 있습니다. 평창 올림픽의 유치와 동계 스포츠의 저변 확대에 크게 기여한 드림 프로그램의 그간의 성과를 이어받아 올림픽 이후인 2020년 드림 프로그램에서도 미래 세대에게 꿈과 희망을 줄 수 있는 새로운 프로그램으로 재탄생시키고자 하고 있습니다. 잠시 저희 2018년 드림 프로그램의 영상을 함께 보시도록 하겠습니다.
2018 Dream Program for uniting dreams of the world into one. Youths from region that never snow get together with dream of silver snowfield. Greatest number of all time with 84 countries and 2,028 athletes. 2018 participants with 25 countries and 109 athletes. 185 national team members from Dream Program. Beautiful dream toward winter sports in Pyeongchang, Gangwon-do. Since 2004, Dream Program has been trying to spread winter sports culture all over the world by inviting youths from countries with less winter sports, providing personalized training for participants, and various experience programs. Beautiful challenge toward the new dream with strong passion. Running in white snow field and dreaming of bright future. Dreamlike moments on the snow for the first time in life. "13 Days of Dream Program provides systematic and specialized personal training for improving athletes' performance and giving hopes for athletes with less winter sports experiences. Dream, passion, and new hope, blooming in constant challenge. 2018 Dream Program promises dream and hope for world winter sports. Pyeongchang, Gangwon-do delivers touching moments again after Winter Olympics.
My dream is
to win the Olympic Games, go on competitions.
and I want to win it from my country.
Olympic championship,
The World Championship. Because doing Olympics.
professional skier.
Medalla olímpica. And be able to bring more people to the Dream Program in the future.
Endless challenge toward dream. 2018 Dream Program supports your dream.
네, 앞으로도 아시아 선도 국가로서 동계 스포츠의 저변 확대를 위해서 지속적으로 노력하도록 하겠습니다. 다음은 평창 기념대회입니다. 국내외 경기연맹과의 협업을 통해 올림픽 경기장에서 매년 평창 올림픽을 기념하는 국제대회를 개최함으로써 동계 스포츠의 발전과 함께 개최도시 활성화에 기여하도록 하겠습니다. 특히 각각의 개별 대회들을 융합하고 통합하여서 새로운 브랜드로 평창 올림픽을 기념할 수 있는 새로운 브랜드로서 론칭함으로써 기존 지역이 갖고 있던 관광 자원과의 연계를 통해서 스포츠 중심의 종합 축제로 만들어 나가고자 하고 있습니다. 이를 통해서 대회 개최의 효과를 극대화하고 부가가치를 높이도록 하겠습니다. 다음은 교육입니다. 교육은 미래 세대에게 올림픽과 스포츠가 가지는 다양한 가치를 보존하고 전파할 수 있는 가장 효율적인 수단입니다. 저희 재단은 IOC 등과의 협의를 통해서 여기 보이시는 화면에 보이시는 것이 올림픽 개폐회식이 벌어졌던 개폐회식장입니다. 이 올림픽 개폐회식장을 리모델링하여 올림픽 기념관과 함께 평창 올림픽 가치센터로 운영함으로써 평창을 찾는 방문객 누구나 올림픽의 가치를 누리고 배울 수 있도록 준비하고 있습니다. 또한 올림픽 가치센터를 중심으로 각각의 올림픽 경기장을 교육장으로 활용하도록 하겠습니다. 특히 내년부터 약 80억 원을 투입하여 2만 명의 청소년들을 대상으로 올림픽 경기장을 활용한 체험형 올림픽 교육을 준비하고 있습니다. 이러한 교육을 통해서 자라나는 미래 세대인 청소년들이 올림픽 경기장에서 다양한 스포츠 활동을 통해서 올림픽과 스포츠가 가지는 다양한 긍정적인 가치를 직접 체험할 수 있도록 할 예정에 있습니다. 또한 이 사업은 올림픽 시설을 본연의 스포츠뿐만이 아니라 교육과 체험 시설로 활용 가능하도록 하는 촉진 역할을 할 것입니다. 마지막으로 올림픽 가치에 대한 확산입니다. 평창 올림픽의 평화적 가치를 계승하고 확산하기 위한 평창 평화 포럼입니다. 올해 2월 대회 1주년을 기념하여 제1회 평창 포럼이 개최된 바 있으며 2020년 2월에도 스포츠를 통한 평화라는 주제로 IOC와 국제기구 등과의 협업을 통해 평화를 상징하는 세계적인 명사들을 초빙하여 평화에 대한 활발한 논의를 이어갈 예정에 있습니다. 또한 앞으로도 평창이 가지는 평화의 가치를 확산할 수 있는 매개체가 될 수 있도록 국제 포럼으로 성장시킬 예정에 있습니다. 마지막으로 IOTC 평화 유스 캠프입니다. 그간 그리스의 소재에 있는 올림픽 휴전 센터에서 진행해 오던 올림픽 휴전 교육을 평창에서 새롭게 시작함으로써 평화를 주제로 전 세계 청년들과 함께 평화를 주제로 한 캠프를 개최하도록 하겠습니다. 이를 통해 올림픽과 스포츠가 가지는 다양한 가치와 특히 평화에 대한 가치를 논의하고 이를 국내외적으로 확산시키는 촉매 역할을 하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 이상 발표를 마치겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 이번에는 2018 평창 기념재단의 임무와 컨셉, 또 평창 올림픽 및 패럴림픽의 다양한 영역에서 지속될 전략적 계획에 대해서 들어봤습니다. 2018 평창 기념재단 김정남 총괄 운영부장님께 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Thank you so much once again for your excellent presentation. 네, 여러분 이제 힘드시죠? 드디어 휴식 시간이 왔습니다. 지금부터 저희가 한 20분 정도 동안 휴식 시간을 갖고 나서 4시 55분, 그럼 한 25분 정도 휴식을 취한 후에 4시 55분부터 저희가 다음 세션 이어가도록 하겠습니다. 로비에 커피와 음료가 준비되어 있으니까요. 많이 이용해 주시고요. 또 자유롭게 휴식을 취하신 후에 4시 55분까지 자리로 돌아와 주시기 바랍니다. 또 지금 현재 저희 성과 공모전 우수작 그 액션 플랜이 전시가 되고 있습니다. 많은 관심 부탁드립니다. 그럼 즐거운 휴식 시간 보내십시오. 감사합니다. So from now on, we are going to take a short coffee break for about 25 minutes. So please enjoy your snacks and beverages that are available at the lobby. And please come back to your seats by 4:55 p.m. on the dot. And right now, the action plans are being displayed at the moment that have won the awards in the competition. So please take a look at them during the coffee break. And please come back to your seats by 4:55 p.m. Thank you. Enjoy your break. So we have 2 more minutes left until 5 p.m. Well, we are slightly behind the schedule by 5 minutes, so please come into the hall and please take your seats. It is 4:58 p.m. right now, and we are going to start the forum at 5 p.m. on the dot. 네, 지금 4시 58분인데요. 저희 2분 뒤에 5시 정각이 되면 바로 시작하겠습니다. 다시 4시 59분이 되었습니다. 1분 남았으니까요. 이제 들어오셔서 착석해 주시기 바랍니다. We have 1 minute left, so please come in and please be seated. 네, 5시 정각이 되었습니다. 이제 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 다들 즐거운 휴식 시간 보내셨죠? 그럼 지금부터 2019 Dream Together Intensive 코스에 대한 이 4분의 액션 플랜 발표가 있겠습니다. 먼저 발표를 시작하기 전에 2019 Dream Together Intensive 코스의 연수 과정 영상을 함께 관람하시겠습니다. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your short coffee break. Now we are going to have action plan presentations, but first of all, we are going to watch a video clip first, which contains the highlights of the 2019 Dream Together Intensive course. So without further ado, let's take a look. 그럼 함께 보시죠.
So the intensive course here back again to implement everything we have learned in Dream Together Master Program to start our own projects for the collaboration and the growth of our community.
The course has been very meaningful for me because I have learned so much about the Korean experience in organizing a sport organization, and also I have been fascinated with the culture of Korea and all the countries that coexist in the program. My name is Juan Pablo and I'm from Guatemala.
Hello, this is Mauricio from the Soto DTM product. Fighting!
Hello everyone, my name is Ilhan from the Soto. Hello.
Hello everyone, I'm Zaya, I'm from Mongolia.
Hello everyone, I'm from Mongolia. My name is Carlos.
Hello, my name is Kelam Akintin. I'm from Botswana, DTM fourth-batch student alumni.
Hello everybody, I'm Falcon Sigimu from Botswana. Thank you very much, Isnat.
Hello everyone, I'm Sarah Talita. I'm from Indonesia. Hello, I'm from Indonesia.
저는 텟이에요. 짐바브웨 사람이에요. 감사합니다.
Hello everyone, I'm Tawanda from Zimbabwe.
I'm Mauricio from Colombia.
My name is Pacho Gutierrez from Colombia. I am very happy to be here.
Hello, this is Bilal Ali from Pakistan. I welcome you all to the final ceremony of 2019 DTM의 Intensive Course.
Hello, my name is Omer and I am from Pakistan.
Hi, this is Umar Farooq, advisor CM Punjab. Warmly greeting to you.
Hello, I'm Ihsan from Palestine. Thank you, shukran.
Lina from Palestine. Nice to meet you.
Well, that was a very heartwarming video. Congratulations and thank you so much for coming once again. 네, 그럼 저희 액션 플랜 발표를 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 첫 번째 발표는 모리시오 헤르난데즈 콜롬비아 스포츠 투명성 기구 이사님께서 스포츠의 투명성을 주제로 발표를 해주시겠습니다. So the first presentation will be delivered by Mr. Mauricio Hernandez. He is from the DTM 5th batch, and he's from Colombia, which is serving as the Director of Transparency in Sport in Colombia. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him with a big round of applause. 여러분, 큰 박수 다시 한번 부탁드립니다.
This is not mine.
콜롬비아 발표 자료 아닌가요? So that's not your PPT? That's Indonesia. Okay, let's go back to Colombia. 우리 콜롬비아 발표 자료로 돌아가겠습니다. There we go. This is yours, right?
Hope so.
It is.
I'm very excited to be here, even from the video, and have this speech in front of my professors. So it's an honor for me to be here. Transparency in Sport is an NGO I founded immediately. I came to my country as a DTM legacy. I am going to offer two solutions, but solutions of what? Corruption in sport. Corruption in sport is not a local problem, it's a global problem. In Colombia, after we signed a peace deal, we realized that our biggest problem is corruption. In sport, corruption has to be with more than embezzlement. I mean, corruption in sport is related to human rights, is related to protecting the real value of a sport. The Olympic system is a network of organizations protecting the integrity of a sport, protecting the values of excellence, respect, and friendship. It is a global concern. We're going to focus in Latin America. Why these problems occur? We think that for lack of education, not proper education, barriers to access to that education, and a bad reputation of sports officials and sports organizations. So we are proposing to bring proper education, overcoming barriers, and raising public awareness for good governance in sport. Our proposal has online and offline solutions. In the online solution, we want to create massive online open courses and making visible public information in Spanish, online, and for our market. Our offline solution is to create the first National Sports Governance Award. I have to say, this platform is already working with a few resources. We have 200 active users studying public policies, sports governance, and Olympism. We think this is a feasible project, and we want to increase our offer with this kind of content. Sports organizations are more than boards. Sport organization has to be with civil society, coaches, and the whole society in general. So our revenue model is based on the assumption that if we can sell high volume of courses at a very low cost, we can make a sustainable project, and our revenue streams come from the government, individuals, and sports organizations. There is a bunch of sports organizations protecting the integrity of a sport, but all of them are located in the Europe, Canada, the US, offering offline solutions in English and focusing on boards. So we do believe that our competitive advantage is like we want to be online in Latin America, in Spanish, very cheap, and opening the governance of a sport for all. In our team, it's my professor, Juan Francisco, he's here. He's going to be in charge of relations with NOCs and federations. Nicolas is going to be in charge of engaging online communities, and I will be in charge of strategic partnerships. Our proposal is to bring in our team more online courses with high-profile professors, as Borja Garcia, who is our VIP guest today. We do believe that this project is really feasible because we can reach, with just 2,500 users, we can have a profit even starting from the year zero. Our user base is in Colombia, as you can see in the year zero, but our target is going beyond, reaching the countries where DTM alumni are located in Latin American countries at the third stage: Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala, Mexico, and Costa Rica. While I am bringing more key sponsors and partners as Korean government. We are requesting just 40% of the total of operational cost at the first year zero. And as you can see in our logo, we strongly believe in the cooperation between Colombia and Korea. We do believe in the openness of a sport organization, and we do believe in democracy, as you can see in the black dots in our logo. So we strongly believe we can bring a positive change with the proper support and a strategic partnership. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mauricio Hernandez, for your succinct and very impressive presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give him another round of big applause. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 이번에는 팔레스타인 축구협회의 이산 압달라님께서 다운 신드롬과 친구들 간의 축구 축제를 주제로 두 번째 발표를 해주시겠습니다. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. So this time, Isan Abdallah will be giving us our second presentation titled Down Syndrome and Friends Football Festival.
Thank you very much. Waiting for my PPT. All right, so I come here today to talk about Down syndrome and Friends Football Festivals, a mental and a healthy treatment through sports. So I'm here to tell you a story. When I was a student in SNU, I had this professor, Professor Lee Young-ho, who was teaching us about sports science. So Professor Lee, he has a idea about special program that he works with special needs and Down syndrome. He actually invited us to come. So I decided to go and to see what exactly he's doing. So when I went there was like this group of kids, Down syndrome kids, where they invited to SNU, they play sports, and they practice different activities because it's proven that this kind of general sport activities will work on changing the mental and physical health of Down syndrome. So, as a matter of fact, I liked the idea, so I decided to take that back with me, to take it back home. But when I got to Palestine, I wanted to start implementing the idea. I found that we have a huge number of disabilities. That's the one thing. The second thing, we don't have enough project for them. Or actually, we don't have any kind of a project dedicated for this group. And the third thing, we don't have anyone who's specialized in this segment, for this segment. So I had to do some work to find out what I can do. So I had to come up with a solution where we can have an integration activities and where we can have an education activities for educators in the Ministry of Education about something kinesiology and communication. All right, when I got the idea, I had also to know how much of the people I have to work with. So in Palestine, we're a population, because you know the whole problematic situation back there. We're like a group over 3.2 million people in Palestine, and in fact, we have 100,640 people with disabilities. We're actually, which is a huge number. So what I had to do is that I needed to think about what I'm going to be doing more. So I had to come up with an events for children where we have 50 Down syndrome integrated with 100 school students from the Ministry of Education. They're going to play a grassroots festivals together in supporting the treatment method through integration. And the second part where we have an education courses teaching the physical education teachers about Down syndrome communication and kinesiology through courses provided by the Special Olympics and different other affiliations. So the highlights of this program, that's going to be the first of its kind. It's going to be targeting neglected categories and going to be working with Special Needs Rehabilitation Center. So, and also this service was going to be free of charge. We're not going to be, either the kids or the teachers going to be paying anything. So in order to see how can I run this, we need to go for national governments, public institutions, or even NGOs to find out how we can fund this program. And in our team, actually, I had my professor who actually inspired me about it, myself, Mr. Jeff Davids from the English FA, Kan Van Booten from Special Olympics. And to give you an entire idea about how much it costs, I would really ask the Korean government to grant us $33,000 so we can have this program in its entirety. So here, I want to highlight something. You see this kid? We actually have, in matter of fact, we had run this program in a small structure, and we have found out that this kid who came for the first time, he wasn't able to communicate with anybody. And then after we tried to talk to him and playing, he actually became very interested about it. And we managed to get him one more time, and he actually, matter of fact, we managed to change his life. So in changing one kid's life, I believe that we can change other kids' life through this kind of sports, through integration, through communication. So I believe we have the power to do so, and I believe together we can change other people's life, and we can get that to everyone else, and we can change the world. So thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Ihsan Abdallah, for your very passionate and profound presentation. 네, 다운 신드롬과 친구들 간의 축구 축제를 주제로 팔레스타인 축구협회의 이산 압달라님께서 아주 열정적으로 두 번째 발표를 해주셨습니다. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. Please give another round of big hand. Thank you. 네, 세 번째 발표는 파키스탄에서 오신 우마르 아시프 카프카 복지기관 이사님께서 해주시겠습니다. 발표 제목은 파키스탄의 스포츠 중재를 통한 폭력적 극단주의 예방입니다. So now it's time for our third presentation titled Violent Extremism Prevention Through Sport Intervention in Pakistan, which will be delivered by Mr. Umar Asif. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him with a big round of applause. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Umair Asif and I am from Pakistan. So, my project is about prevention of violent extremism through team-based sports interventions among young people in Pakistan. Pakistan has been a victim of violent extremism, and as a victim, we have lost 80,000 human lives. It's a big number and it's a very serious issue. The economic damage was $1 or $2 billion, and we cannot say it's just a national or local issue. It's actually a global issue. Unfortunately, we don't have any research available in this field, and no solution programs are already there to work against it. So it was started from 9/11 incident, from Afghanistan and US-Russia war. So it's growing. So serious thing is that it's growing and it has 4 different factors behind it. Psychological factors, sociological factors, economic factors, and political factors. So our government started National Action Plan in 2014 to counter violent extremism. What they are doing, they are working at policy level, they are eliminating extremist groups, they are restoring mega sports events, but they are not engaging to young people at grassroots level. So the aim of my project is to counter violent extremism, also to promote sports in Punjab province, Pakistan. It will also enhance youth resilience through sports, and youth will learn life skills. It will also enhance factors like tolerance, inclusion, and integration in young people that will overall promote peace. So our target district would be Bahawalpur in the Punjab region of Pakistan. Our targeted sports is hockey, that is our national game, and it will also promote to cultural values. Pakistan's population is 200 million and 64% of that is young people. So you can see like it's a big number and it's a big challenge. Our beneficiaries would be from 14 to 29 years old, and we will start the program from one district, and after completion and evaluation, we will expand it to other districts. It is a view of our solution programs. There are different kinds of activities and they will contribute to different factors: sociological, political, psychological, and economic. You can see one example. Such programs have been implemented in different countries, different areas like Afghanistan, Nepal. So our program would be like this. The program outcomes are like we are going to develop a solution program that will work against this issue. We will engage youth positively. We will provide research opportunities. It will develop sports. It will enhance sports participation. So it is based on my master's research thesis that divides it into 4 categories or 4 factors that I have explained earlier. So we have tested a pilot project, and in that project, we found some positive values, positive outcomes through our evaluation process. You can see like this picture is showing the positive factors we get through SDP program, and it counters the reasons of violent extremism. So our program follows this model, and we believe if we're going to apply our pilot project at a bigger level, it's going to contribute to violent extremism prevention. This is our timeline. The project will last for 3 months. We have a strong support by our government and international organizations. Our sports minister is sitting here to show his support. And I am also a sports sociologist. I'm going to contribute to this project. Our budget is here, it's around 58,000 USD. So this project will overall contribute to peace in Pakistan. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Omar Asif, for your profound and insightful and informative presentation. Thank you so much once again. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give him another round of big applause. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. 네, 벌써 마지막 발표를 들을 시간인데요. 이번 마지막 발표는 인도네시아에서 오신 타라 탈리사님께서 타라 탈리사님은 그 전 인도네시아 아시안 게임 조직위원회 선임 위원이셨습니다. 발표 제목은 101 프로젝트라고 합니다. Our final presentation, titled The 101 Project, will be delivered by Ms. Tara Talitha, who belongs to the DTM third batch, and she's from Indonesia, and she also served as the former senior member of the Indonesian Asian Games Organizing Committee. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her with a big round of applause. 여러분 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tara Talita. I'm from Indonesia. Today, I would like to briefly introduce you to my project. I called it the 101 project. Why it's 101? Because actually it's a basic instruction, a manual book to guide the host of international multi-sport event. So before I begin my presentation, let me begin with a story. I will take you back to last year's in 2018, where we successfully hosted the Asian Games in 2018. Actually, it's amazed many pessimists at that time, although it turned out to be a proclamation of unity and diversity. We get praise to Indonesia from all over the world when we successfully hosted the Asian Games of 2018. The stories were told through the eyes of journalists, broadcasters, and also the media with positive tone. It sounds like a good, happy ending, isn't it? However, just like in a fairy tale, this happy ending came through with a struggle and effort from the whole team. Endless working hours, no weekend or holiday in a year, we got it all covered. We lost overworked resources, time spent, and also money lost with the estimation of 7 million Indonesian rupiah. With those zeros, it almost reached $1 million in money lost. Therefore, we do not want to make the same mistake. This is a purpose from this guideline book, is to have the very first standardized guideline book in Indonesia to host the multi-sport event. How rational is this project? As you can see here, that Indonesia hosted these multi-sports events before. We started with the 4th Asian Games back in 1962. We also hosted the Asian Bali Games in 2018. And also the SEA Games. But all those projects were in a rush, were very rushed and unmanaged plan. And in the next future, we will be the candidate city to host the Olympic 2032. We don't want it to be rushed again, so we have to have a very well prepared and in a good management. We already have the database sources. We managed to make this volunteer manual book and also the sports marketing manual book. We will also have a database from sports journal, modules, sports event final reports to support our published book. And this is the proposed contents for the book. We will include this general administration, games operations, media revenue, sports operation, policies, and also study cases. I want to include a benchmark from South Korea as they successfully hosted the last Asian Games and also Winter Games. And it's also in line with the theme of Korea and Asian Commemorative Summit as they celebrated this week. And this is the timeline. It's a one-year work plan, started in January 2020. And then also we will collect the data. We will begin the writing from April to May, and the production will begin in June. And the launch will be on July during the month of the Olympic Games in Tokyo 2020. The cost projection for the book is estimated of $40,000. The core team will consist of 11 members, consist of myself. And the donor benefits, if you interest to fund this project, I categorized the assets on these two assets. First is the on-ground brand asset. They will get the full page report and also the company profile in the published book. And they will also get the media exposure and promotional kit in the material. And the future prospect of the book. As myself, a graduate from the DTM student, I would really like to enhance the sport management as an important discipline in the future. And also to have a trained resources in the management of the organizing committee. And this is also important for us, the DTM countries network is I want you to have this as well, because this book will be written in English. So in the future, if you want to host the sport multi-event, you can use this book as a form of knowledge sharing, a knowledge that we can pass on through generations among our countries. It's a legacy. So when I began my presentation with a story, I hope this could become a legacy, a story that have a great ending, because every great story deserves a great ending. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tara Talitha. That was a very heartwarming presentation. 네, 이상으로 저희 발표는 모두 종료가 되었습니다. 벌써 시간이 많이 흘렀는데요. 장시간 강연에도 불구하고 끝까지 집중해서 경청해 주신 모든 분들께 진심으로 감사드립니다. 이제 마지막으로 패널 토론만 남겨두고 있습니다. 오늘 저희가 이번 포럼에서 스포츠의 가치와 확산을 주제로 기조 강연과 또 외교적, 사회적, 문화적인 다각적인 시각에서의 모든 발표까지 들어봤습니다. 마지막 순서는 이번 시간에는 저희가 여러분들께서 사전에 전달해 주신 그 질문 내용을 토대로 토론을 진행하도록 하겠습니다. Finally, it is time for our panel discussion, and we would like to thank all participants once again for staying with us until the very end of our programs today. And we have collected some of the questions from our attendees, so we are going to have a panel discussion based on the questions and comments we have received. 네, 여러분께서는 해외 언론 하면은 어떤 언론사가 가장 먼저 떠오르시나요? 아마도 가장 많은 사람들이 신뢰하는 대표적인 해외 언론을 논한다면 CNN을 빼놓을 수 없을 것 같습니다. 그런 의미에서 오늘 마지막 순서는 정말 영광스럽고 또 의미 있는 자리가 될 것 같은데요. 오늘 좌장으로 모신 손지혜 교수님께서는 한국인 최초로 CNN 서울 지국장을 역임하셨고 또 20년간 언론인으로 활동을 하시면서 G20 정상회의, 준비위원회, 공동대변인 및 또 대통령실 해외 홍보 비서관 뿐만 아니라 또 아리랑 국제방송 CEO 직무까지 역임하신 정말 화려한 경력의 소유자십니다. 그런데 이렇게 다양하고 막중한 역할을 다 해내시면서도 또 동시에 가정에서는 새 아이의 어머니라고 들었습니다. 정말 사회생활을 하는 모든 여성들에게 귀감이 되는 분인 것 같은데요. 여러분 우선 큰 박수로 저희 좌장님 한번 모셔보겠습니다. 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. Please welcome with a big hand. And I would like to invite our amazing moderator, Professor Ji Ae-sung from Ewha Women's University, as well as all presenters and panelists up to the podium. So could you please come forward and take your seat on our stage? Please come forward. 네, 저희 연사님들과 패널리스트 분들 모두 모시고 저희 패널 토론 진행하도록 하겠습니다. So our presenters and panelists, please come forward. It's our panel discussion session. So please take your seat. And of course, as I mentioned in Korean, we have a terrific moderator today, Professor Ji Ae-sung from Ewha Women's University, and she's better known as our exceptional CNN correspondent and bureau chief. So we are very honored and pleased to have her as well as our moderators and presenters up on our stage. So please take your seat, and once everyone is seated, we're going to start our panel discussion. And please make sure you have the receiver for the simultaneous interpretation. 또 저희가 동시통역으로 또 진행이 될 거니까요. 그 수신기도 확인해 주시고요. Please select channel number 1 for Korean and channel number 2 for English. 네, 이제 다들 준비가 되신 것 같으니까 그럼 이만 저는 마이크를 저희 사장님께 넘기겠습니다. 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수로 모든 분들 환영해 주십시오. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. 지금 소개받은 손지혜고요. 이렇게 물리적으로 진짜 마이크가 오는 그런 경우는 많지가 않은데 받아서 영광입니다. 오늘 토론을 위해 사실은 많은 분들이 외국에 왔지만 제가 토론을 위해서는 영어로 언어를 좀 바꾸겠습니다. 양해를 좀 부탁드리겠습니다. Thank you all and I for staying for the entire afternoon. I have also listened to most of the presentations. I have learned quite a lot, and it has reaffirmed the fact that, for me at least, that sports in terms of its core values, in terms of the goodness it sees in, and it seems to develop in every human being is something that can be diffused and shared, and if shared properly, will promote the human good in many countries. And can be shared. So with this, we're going to start off with, we only have 30 minutes, and so we are not going to try to repeat the excellent presentations that we heard earlier in the week, but we're going to maybe raise a couple of questions, and then maybe you also raise some questions as you registered and during the afternoon. So we'll try to combine your questions with some of the discussion points that we may raise. Now, first off, I think this first question will be to our two professors, Professor Henry and Professor Che. We talked about in the afternoon about the social values and the good of sports and sports diplomacy. And we talked about developing countries that could benefit from such sports release. But still, though, I mean, could you sort of concretely link how sports diplomacy can actually support and help developing countries in their developing process? I'll ask both my professors and to also maybe give some examples as well. So, Professor Henry, start with you.
Okay, that's working. Yes, I mean, in terms of developing countries, one of the examples that springs to mind is the International Inspiration Programme, which I referred to when I was speaking, in which the UK, but also UNICEF and the Premier League and so on, put money into a partnership with 20 countries, in fact. The goal was to work in 20 countries and to make contact with 12 million young people, so it's 2012. And there, first of all, the countries had to volunteer to be part of the overall program. And the first stage was for representatives from UK Sport, UNICEF, the British Council, and some sponsors to sit down with, well, amongst the first group of countries were Azerbaijan, Brazil, Zambia, and so on, and to sit down together to say, okay, what are the priorities? What are your needs as a country, and how can we use sport to address those needs? And I'll just choose one example. In Azerbaijan, there were problems with refugee groups or displaced person groups, and also problems in relation to disability. And one of the things which had happened in Afghanistan was, under the Soviet regime, children with disabilities were institutionalized. And what Azerbaijan had done post-independence was to bring the children out from those institutions and to integrate them as far as possible within ordinary schools. And one of the programs that they, after discussion, were attracted to was a program involving the development of festivals of sport in schools, in which the children with disabilities, whether they're wheelchair bound or have visual problems or whatever, were integrated with children, able-bodied children and so on. And the children in discussion tried to work out how they could engage everybody, regardless of disability or otherwise, in sporting activities which were beneficial to all. And one of the things which struck me when we were interviewing people afterwards was talking to two young people, one disabled and one not. And the lad who wasn't disabled said, I had never met anybody who was disabled before. and we had to have. It was interesting to see from the boy in the wheelchair's perspective what kinds of things he was excited to do and so on. And so they invented games and competitions where, for example, wheelchair bound individuals had perhaps relay races in which they were integrated into the team, and where equality of the potential of the teams was evened up and so on and so forth. But for them, the joy of being involved was one thing, but also the learning process. Both of those boys reported back on the fact that for them personally and for the colleagues in the schools, that was sport gave them an opening to engage with this group and to normalize the relationships between them.
You touch upon a very important, but the social inclusion aspect of it. It's, you know, in English, there's the level playing field. I mean, there's nothing like being on a playground. It sort of levels off the social differences or physical differences in this case, which allows for a country to develop in a way that it wants to do. I think it's a very important example. Professor Che, could you maybe add on to what we were just talking about here?
As a best practice, we already knew that how best the UK has a program on it, and how they have been trying to make their own effort to do that area. Away from UK case, I would like to add up some other points. From Korea, I was talking about development and sport, and how it could be done through new perspective on the UN sustainable development goals. The hot topic among developing countries is national competitiveness. It's quite hard area, and it's quite materialistic area. Away from that sense, why don't you think of some sustainability of human resource development? To level up the competitiveness of the country, human resource is kind of mandatory, and how to develop human resource and the human decay experience in conflictual context of most developing countries experienced. They want to think of some fresh way of doing something. I would suggest that Korea has been proposing and postularizing global citizenship education for development. We call it GCED. Then many of European countries got together to promote global education there. Then they have been trying to harmonize different interests at national level. Then they've been successful. Then finally they got institutionalized and integrate their area. And they expanded number of the member states. Then now they join together. Then now they collaborate each other for further institutionalization. From Korean perspective, as Korea has been promoting GCED, sports must be center of GCED that Korea has been proposing to the global society. Sport, you don't need a word. It has common rules, it has common language. For culture and art, we need to do something more to have cross-cultural understanding, add up to the asset that we have in hand to exchange each other. But sport itself, that is there. It's a universal, the item. Everybody recognize. So in that sense, I would, it recalls me the date of the speech made by Didier Drogba, the football player of Cote d'Ivoire. Once he suggests something, before he, was going to play in, the World Cup, the country is suffering political struggle, they stopped the conflict. Now, there is peaceful atmosphere in political atmosphere in Cote d'Ivoire. How much the people with consciousness can do something for peace. Finally, for prosperity of the country. In this sense, I would suggest again, GCED should clearly include sport as an education item for sustainable education environment for developing countries.
Thank you, Professor Choi. I mean, those kinds of sports leading to peace and education was also a very central part of our Pyeongchang Olympics, Winter Olympics, and is something that Director Pyo talked about as well in terms of the public diplomacy aspect of what Korea seeks to do with other countries, developing countries. What are some of Korea's policies to maybe take that one step further and maybe, you know, really concretely do some good in developing countries in areas that Korea is best known for? Director Pyo, share some insights?
Well, as I spoke during the presentation, sports is certainly a valuable asset for public diplomacy. And as during Professor Choi's presentation, is related to our national image as well. So to answer your questions on how to utilize these items well, I think it's important to think both in terms of the hardware and software. Especially if you don't want, if you want these events or institutions to continue, I think it's, we have to institutionalize such events. So to be specific, we could strengthen organizations and budget, such as improving the coordination process when making decisions. And today's forum is especially encouraging because I understand this is the 7th forum. So I hope that these kind of forums where all kinds of domestic and international expert students, anyone who's interested can come together and brainstorm new ideas as well. This and then can be connected to the software part. Today I learned I could benchmark best practices and ideas from experts in UK, Myanmar, and other best practices cases that you made a presentation about. So when pursuing these events, I think it's important to keep in mind the public-partner partnership as well, to cooperate together as Team Korea, because public diplomacy is not done by the Minister of Foreign Affairs alone. We cooperate together with other ministries, Ministry of Culture, for example, but also the local government, such as the Gangwon Providence, and also a lot of NGOs and private organizations who I think are in this room today. So when pursuing these goals and making decisions about ODA, the government of Korea really put much emphasis on a tailored approach. We want to be sensitive and respectful to each unique need and request of every country. That's why our embassies are all over 180 countries to communicate together with your government and your people as well, which is the essence of public diplomacy.
Thank you, Director Pyo. Let's move on to a question or subject that was raised by one of our participants earlier in the day. They talked about the white elephant aspect of holding a major event like the Olympics. And it's something maybe that you know, Director Pyo talked about the public-private partnership aspect of it. Some of these challenges that must be tackled and thought about beforehand. That question was raised actually to our other director, Director Kim, and talking about the white elephants after the Pyeongchang Olympics. Now, he talked about how the plans made, but in hindsight, when you look at it in terms of planning an event and planning about how to deal with events so that white elephants don't occur, that local economies aren't disrupted. And we just heard from, I think, an Indonesian young person, participant who talked about these program books so that we can tackle these problems before they become problems. So, and because it is if you disrupt the economy, if you create white elephants, then if there's a resistance to these kind of sports events, then it does hinder any kind of sports diplomacy or public diplomacy efforts that you want to create. So in hindsight, Director Kim, you know, to prevent these kinds of issues coming forth, what are some of the suggestions you would make in terms of, and of course, at this point, because all of you are experts in this area, if you want to jump in, please feel free to do so. But for now, I'm going to ask Director Kim to talk about those issues.
네, 사실 그 흰 코끼리의 효과 부분은 그 올림픽 같은 대규모 메가 이벤트를 개최를 하거나 개최 후에 모든 국가에서 굉장히 논의가 되고 있는 큰 문제라고 생각이 듭니다. 물론 이제 그 가장 좋은 부분은 무슨 모든 국제 대회 올림픽이 흑자를 내고 또한 남겨진 경기장 같은 사후 시설이 흑자를 내면 이런 흰 코끼리의 효과는 없겠죠. 하지만 사실 냉정하게 따지고 보면 사실 특히 그 올림픽 같은 메가 이벤트 이후에 남겨진 경기장 시설들이 수치상으로 흑자를 내는 건 사실상 현실적으로 많이 어려운 게 사실입니다. 하지만 이제 저희가 봤을 때 모든 분들이 지적을 하셨다시피 스포츠는 공익적인 측면을 많이 가지고 있습니다. 사실 그리고 특히 동계올림픽 같은 부분은 그 경기 시설들이 굉장히 전문적인 경기 시설입니다. 예를 들어서 평창이 건설했던 슬라이딩 센터 같은 경우에는 사실 그 썰매 선수들은 굉장히 선수들도 적을 뿐더러 직접 썰매를 뭐 타거나 이런 선수나 이런 분들은 굉장히 그 층이 얇겠죠. 저희가 고민을 해봐야 될 건 그렇다면은 두 가지가 될 것 같습니다. 일단은 어떻게 그 스포츠가 가진 공익적인 측면이 있을 때 일정 부분 공적인 재원이 투입되는 것은 어쩔 수가 없다고 저는 보고 있고요. 다만 그 수혜의 효과가 너무 특정인 또는 특정 사람에게만 너무 한정되면 그거는 지역이라 뭐 어떤 지역의 공적인 자금이 투입됐을 때 문제가 됐기 때문에 가장 좀 현실적인 해결책은 이 경기장을 특정의 어떤 사람들보다는 굉장히 많은 다수의 모든 사람들이 향유할 수 있도록 그 이용률을 제고하는 방법이겠죠. 그래서 저희 재단도 굉장히 사실 올림픽 이후에 이런 문제들을 집중적으로 다루고 있고요. 결론적으로 저희는 당연히 본연의 스포츠 기능은 활성화한다라는 방침 아래 다만 이런 경기장 시설들이 모든 사람들에게 365일 사계절 활용이 돼야 된다라는 그런 방침 아래서 본연의 스포츠 기능을 활성화시키는 어떤 동호회 리그라던가 이런 부분뿐만이 아니라 학생들을 위한 교육, 사실 교육은 스포츠에서 굉장히 큰 가치를 가지고 있습니다. 그래서 학생들을 위한 교육의 장소로 이런 경기장들 그리고 스포츠 체험 프로그램을 제공하는 그런 부분들 그리고 일반인들이 굉장히 또 낯선 또 동계 스포츠를 체험할 수 있는 어떤 관광이 결합된 일종의 마이스가 되겠죠. 이런 마이스 프로그램을 통해서 이런 경기장 시설들을 다수의 많은 사람들에게 혜택을 향유함과 동시에 어떤 지역 경제의 활성화에 좀 거점이 될 수 있도록 그렇게 하는 부분이 저희가 가장 또 중점을 가지는 부분이 있겠고요. 그리고 사실은 올림픽 효과가 또 아까 또 인도네시아도 말씀을 드렸지만 사실 체계적인 준비를 통해서 흑자를 내는 것도 매우 중요하다고 생각이 듭니다. 그런 부분에 있어서 뭐 가이드북이나 이런 부분들은 굉장히 중요한 것 같고요. 또 저희 평창의 경험들을 저희가 혹시 전수를 할 수 있다면 이런 스포츠 스포츠 어떤 조직의 어떤 기술들, 노하우들을 이런 포럼 등을 통해서 전수를 하는 것도 저희가 어떤 메가 이벤트를 통한 어떤 흰 코끼리 효과를 최소화할 수 있는 그런 좋은 방법이 아닐까 생각을 합니다.
Thank you, Director Kim. You talk about more of the maybe the equipment, facility legacies that are left behind. Some of the things, and that could be help for the local environment or local communities. But I think Ms. Cuatro talked about the value legacies in terms of the volunteers. Although you said that there was the effect was limited, you know, and you were looking for something bigger. But those kind of value legacies, would that be one way of maybe maximizing the effect of an event like the Olympics? And again, in your hindsight, what could have been done to maximize the value legacies in terms of the volunteer work after the London Games?
What we learned from London was that mainly the Games Makers program was not as effective to deliver legacies, especially because we saw that they focused on a particular profile of London 2012 volunteers. However, for future events, for example, they could possibly collaborate further with the local organizations. They could perhaps engage them in helping with the recruitment of volunteers, making the connections with the local communities in order to actually sustain their efforts in the long term. So, for example, if volunteers that have a specific connection with a particular sport or some linkages to the general community, perhaps could be recruited for a mega event and then sustain their operations for longer to help to create an altruistic value in the community and also to help with other events or projects after the event is over. So one of the suggestions is to not just focus on the event itself, but also to see in the long term whether these human resources could be sustainable in other ways.
Agreed, although it's difficult, you know, in a sports event like that, you start with trying to do values, but when the events happen, you're caught up in the number of medals and, you know, who won, who lost. So it's a challenging thing to do. But Professor Henry, you wanted to also add?
I was saying that I was thinking London actually provides a good example of a games in which there were clear goals beforehand. I mean, in volunteerism terms, that was one of the problems, that there wasn't. But London clearly had in mind the redevelopment of East London. And people look at London and think London is a rich city, but it has pockets of poverty that are amongst the worst in Western Europe. And as you take the underground from the middle of London out to Stratford, where the Games was, for every stop along the way, life expectancy goes down by 1 year, and there are about 20 stops. So there was real poverty to address in East London, and we can see in the post-Games period the data that we have got, looking at the boroughs which hosted the facilities for the Games and which were amongst the poorest, and comparing them along clear indicators of wealth and poverty and so on, like unemployment, education levels, house prices and so on. Not all of them have improved, but most of them have actually improved. So what was a clear goal on the part of the then mayor of London to use the Olympics as an opportunity to develop economically this area. That, I think, is a very good example of how the benefits of the Games can be used and planned for in a progressive kind of way. And the other point I'd make just briefly is the new approach which the IOC is adopting for encouraging cities to come forward is literally to work hand in hand with cities and to try to plan out from the beginning any kinds of white elephant structures that would be left. In other words, if the plan for facilities is not sustainable, then the IOC would regard that as something which was both detrimental and would have to be faced rather than build it and let's see what happens afterwards.
Pio, you wanted to also add?
Yes, just to add some short comments. I agree on Director Kim's point that you have to be systematic. So to successfully host an international event, I think good planning from the start is essential. And on the value part, I think it's also important to develop a good narrative that all participants can relate to. Olympics certainly has some rivalry issues, such as how many medals you have. But on the other hand, it is not like an individual event. It's where all of the global community comes together. So maybe stressing this point could help diffuse the value of sports.
Thank you. I think the last point is actually something that is of very realistic interest to many young people here. And it was raised in some of the questions. It's like, okay, this area of sports diplomacy, sports management, what do you have to do to, I mean, what kind of requirements, what kind of education? What do you have? Do you have to be a sports, you have to be an athlete? Do you have to have won a medal? Is it more of a diplomatic aspect? But how do you become a sports management official? What do you think are the, in Korean words, the specifications needed to become a professional in this field? And I will ask all of you to sort of add your comment, and as professionals in this area, what are the skills, what is the knowledge, what is the hand-on experience needed to excel in this area? Start with you, Dr. Henry.
Yes, I mean, I think there are some fairly standard skills in terms of things in relation to, say, facility management and so on, where the financial management, the marketing, the human resource management and so on of facilities, whether they're elite facilities or community facilities, those are skills which managers clearly need to have. But I think if we're talking at the level of policy, higher above that, and certainly at the level of dealing with national ministries and so on, there's an understanding of the policy process and the feasibility of some of the problems and solutions that have to be addressed at that level, which requires an education and the development of competencies of a political and of a policy analysis type nature.
Is being an athlete helpful?
Being an athlete gives you a sensitivity to certain markets and perhaps a lack of sensitivity to other markets as well. Certainly athletes and as role models and former athletes as role models can be very important, particularly in addressing certain communities and the sensitivity of an athlete to the community from which they've come and giving something back to that community is something which is very, very positive, potentially at least. But in terms of understanding policy, understanding management processes and so on, do you want an athlete who hasn't got those competencies, or do you want somebody who really has those competencies in spades? Probably go for the latter. But of course you'd like an athlete who can do both.
Yes, the best of both worlds. Director Pyo?
To speak more broadly, not just confined it to sports, there are a few programs run by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also Korea Foundation where they involve participating. We select students or participants who they can share their ideas, and we send them to some foreign countries after reviewing. So there are these participatory events that we have, and because when you get directly involved and experience and actually operate a project, it certainly helps to have these expertise on the field. Another requirement or some other helpful skill would be the understanding of management and governance as well, because sports because by having these ideas on how to manage and operate projects on the field where each different country has each different necessary points, I think those kind of skills would be helpful in producing a synergy effect.
Thank you. Professor Choi, I mean, is there an academic background that's especially helpful? Is being in a women's university helpful? I think that was one of the questions.
It's very hard. Actually, I got a question from this pad on what women's university would do for sport and development. Not clearly, I cannot imagine any. But once I had, happened to have a chance to, make my own consultation in charge of my leadership, then I was together with the staff, administrative staff of my university, and there was a chance to make my consultation against some Middle Eastern countries' women's university. It's now world's largest one. I cannot, make clear name on it, but it's the biggest one. 100,000 girls, enrolled in that university, but it's newly launched. I advised many of the administrative staff, among them, to the curricular staff, I advised them art and sport must be there. Art and sport, that's basic and compulsory course. Without that, without having those items, subjects as core courses, you cannot go further. That was my advice, and they accepted it. But it's very hard for Islamic countries to do something with sport in their curricular setting. But now they try to do there. Then they've been successful. And the president of the university sent the message to me that was really great idea for them to accept our proposal. Then they applied. That's my experience, and I would like to replace my words with this.
Thank you, Professor Choi. Ms. Goutreau, I mean, civic society, working with other organizations, what kind of background do you think is helpful?
I think it's, if we just focus on a university degree, it's a very narrow-minded approach. I think it's mainly in order to develop employability skills. The most important is not just what you know, but also who knows you. So as a supporter of the sport volunteering values, I believe that through internships, placements, and opportunities to get to know the world around you is a great way to develop these particular skills, and also at the same time promote altruistic values and help your community to function. So I would really encourage you to find ways to engage with your communities, boost your confidence by being part of these particular networks, and then with these opportunities you will be able to meet other people that would be able to hire you in a future position in sports.
Thank you. Director Kim, what background are you looking for?
네, 일단 제 경험을 좀 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 저는 사실 그 체육과는 전혀 상관없는 일반 행정에 종사하는 공무원이었습니다. 물론 지금도 공무원입니다. 제가 2013년부터 평창 올림픽 조직위원회에서 근무를 했습니다. 물론 처음에 이제 물론 지금 만으로 한 6년 정도 근무를 한 것 같습니다. 현장에서 근무를 했고요. 평창 올림픽 조직위원회에서 테스트 이벤트 기획팀장, 또 수송 팀장, 그리고 기획 팀장을 역임을 하면서 올림픽 준비서부터 실제 올림픽의 운영, 그리고 올림픽 이후에 해산 과정도 제가 실무적으로 총괄을 하면서 지금 올림픽 이후에 조직위원회를 해산을 하고 그 유산을 계승하기 위한 평창 기념재단의 설립까지 맡아서 한 6년 정도 일을 해오고 있습니다. 근데 저는 전혀 올림픽 또 스포츠와는 관계가 없는 일에 종사를 했고요. 전혀 상관이 없는 학과를 나왔습니다. 물론 처음에 조직위원회에서 일을 하면서 진입 장벽이 있죠. 스포츠의 세계, 또 스포츠의 용어, 또 경기의 규칙, 또 경기가 어떻게 이루어지는에 대한 메커니즘을 저희가 알게 돼야 되겠죠. 근데 저는 가장 중요한 건 사실 열정이라고 생각을 합니다. 사실 스포츠 행정이라는 부분은 굉장히 종합적인 행정이고요. 특정한 분야가 뭐 도움이 된다고는 할 수 없을 것 같습니다. 물론 선수 경험이 있는 것도 도움이 될 거고, 뭐 여러 가지 학과가 이런 포럼이 굉장히 도움이 되겠죠. 근데 이런 포럼이나 이런 학과는 여러분이 가지고 있는 스포츠 그 행정에 진입할 수 있는 어떤 진입 장벽이나 이런 거를 굉장히 낮춰주는데 도움이 될 거라고 생각이 들고요. 가장 중요한 건 그 스포츠 행정에 대한 열정, 그리고 스포츠의 가치가 갖고 있는 어떤 그런 믿음, 이런 부분이라고 생각이 듭니다. 저희 2018 마지막으로 저희 2018 평창 동계올림픽의 슬로건이 패션 커넥티드였습니다. 그래서 결론적으로 열정으로 스포츠를 통해서 어떤 전 세계를 잇는다, 이런 것이 저희 평창 올림픽을 준비했던 모든 사람들의 마음이었다라고 말씀을 좀 드릴 수 있을 것 같습니다.
Thank you, Director Kim. I think you did a very good job of ending on the Pyeongchang slogan, "The passion connected." You see a lot of young people in Korea wearing long pads with that. And it is an important value, I think, that we all should carry. Thank you all for staying with us. I think you all showed Olympian character and resolve in staying until the very end. I do hope that the kind of sports ideals that link human beings together, that look for a more harmonious and a peaceful world for all, is realized, and hopefully through sports. So thank you very much to all our speakers and panelists, and thank you all for staying.
네, 이상으로 패널 토론을 모두 마치겠습니다. 열정적으로 참여해주신 패널 분들과 또 멋진 좌장 역할을 해주신 저희 이화여자대학교 국제대학원 손지혜 교수님께 여러분 다시 한번 큰 박수 부탁드립니다. So that concludes our panel discussion, and we would like to thank all of them once again. So please give them a final round of applause. 네, 감사합니다. 네. 네, 그럼 이상으로 2019 드림투게더 서울 포럼의 모든 공식 일정을 종료하도록 하겠습니다. 바쁘신 중에도 소중한 시간 할애해 주시고 또 함께 해주신 모든 분들께 다시 한번 깊이 감사의 말씀 드립니다. 또 호텔에 주차를 하신 분들께서는 행사장 입구에 있는 컨시어지 데스크에서 반드시 차량 등록을 하신 후에 나가주시기 바랍니다. 또 마지막으로 저희 로비에 마련되어 있는 기념사진, 그 포토존에서 꼭 사진도 촬영하고 돌아가시면 감사하겠습니다. 오늘 하루 소중한 시간 내어주신 만큼 정말 의미 있는 시간 보내셨길 바랍니다. 그럼 안전 귀가하시고 편안한 저녁 시간 보내십시오. 감사합니다. So that brings us to the end of the Dream Together Seoul Forum 2019, and we would like to thank all of our attendees and distinguished guests once again for joining us today, and we sincerely hope that you had a constructive time today. And finally, those of you who drove here with your own car, please make sure you register your car at the concierge desk before you leave this hotel, and please don't forget to take a commemorative photo in our special photo zone with your friends and colleagues before you go home. Well, thank you so much once again for joining us today, and have a safe trip back home and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.